Kiner's Corner is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft. It's beer at its best. By NatWest USA, the people and the resources you need today and tomorrow. And by Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi, perfecting the experience.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to our road edition of Kiner's Corner. And here today in Chicago, we're going to be talking with manager Davey Johnson and also Captain Keith Hernandez. We'll also look at the scoreboard, check out the schedule, and we'll have all the things that we have back in New York right here from Chicago. And we'll be right back right after this message from Miller Genuine Draft. Well, here at our road edition of Kiner's Corner, we have Guess Who This Is? And if you guess Keith Hernandez, it's right. And Keith, why'd you shave off the mustache?
Well, Ralph, I've had it for like 8 years, and I've been dicking around whether I should shave it for the last 2 years, and my ex-girlfriend would never let me shave it, so...
She is your ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend, so I said I've been thinking about it now for around 2 months, and I went home after last night's game and decided to do it, so I did it, obviously.
A little bit about yesterday's ball game, a day game. You made 2 errors in 1 inning. Is that the first time you ever made 2 errors in 1 inning?
Yeah, I thought it should have been 1 error. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, we still had the guy at first base. I made the bad throwing error, but that is the first time. But, you know, errors don't really bother me. It cost us a couple runs, and that's unfortunate. I feel badly about that, but I would have felt worse if it had been a careless error. I used 2 hands on the ball, and what happened was that I came too quick with my left hand, which is to cushion the ball in my glove, and the ball hit the back of my hand, which has never happened to me. So strange things are happening this year.
Well, strange things are happening. You're the new captain of the New York Mets. Is there anything that you do with the ball players to sort of turn things around? The Mets now at 500.
Well, we've been playing well of late, and we've played kind of poorly here the last 2 games, so you really can't just push panic buttons, because the last couple of weeks we've been playing a lot better ball. And I really, when the Cubs had the 4-game series here against St. Louis, I was kind of hoping that they would win the last game and split, because when you play good teams, I hate to play good teams, but when you come in, they've been swept, or they've lost 3 out of 4, because they're a little meaner. And the Cardinals took 3 out of 4, and I just kind of, when I saw that, I was a little bit worried about that last series.
Well, Keith, it's the final game of this 3-game series here today. You've always hit well in this park. You got some coming.
Well, we got 2 more times to come in here, too. My timing's off right now. I'm out in front. I'm not waiting on the ball. So, you know, you just got to keep after it and keep swinging, and one day you come to the park, it's back, and when it comes back, I should stay hot maybe the rest of the year. I certainly haven't been hot all year, so I've got that coming, too.
Keith Hernandez, thank you, Keith.
Okay, Ralph.
And we'll be back with Davey Johnson right after this message from Mitsubishi Motors. Well, in our special edition of Kiner's Corner on the road, we have Davey Johnson, the manager of the New York Mets. And, Davey, the last 2 games here with the Cubs have been pretty tough in your stomach. I guess the Mets are really playing bad baseball here in this series. What has happened that you might be able to change?
Well, I don't know how I can change it too much. Right now, we're in a little disarray. We're sputtering. We're not playing heads-up baseball. We're still battling, but we're just kind of, looks like to me, we're kind of going through the motions instead of having that spark and that fire that we need to have to win a ball game.
It's a little bit self-destruct because you've had a squeeze play go awry on a mix-up in signs. A player picked off at second base on an intentional walk, which I've never seen before, and also 5 errors in the ball game yesterday.
Well, this is a pretty rough diamond. There's been some strange hops taken that they could have been called hits. But we didn't feel the ball well, but we were still in the ball game. We had a chance to win late in the ball game, and things went to heck in a handbasket. But we'll turn things around. I feel once our pitching gets a little more settled, we'll be a better ball club.
I noticed out here just prior to coming on with me that you were checking out Rick Aguilera. What about Rick? Is he due to come back?
Well, if he's going to come back at all, it'll probably be about 10 more days. It's the first time he's been able to throw, and he had a little uncomfortable feeling in there. And he'll throw again tomorrow, and if it's not any better, we'll just set him down some more rest.
Well, things are really working tough for you. And Darryl Strawberry, you had to fight him yesterday. He's been late the last 2 days coming to the ballpark here at Wrigley Field. What about his case?
Well, I really don't know. Normally, when you and I played, when a guy was late, he was real embarrassed. He'd apologize to everybody, and the times had changed. I guess I'm supposed to go get him and tell him that he was late, But I don't know. I think Darrell will be all right. It's just one of those times that we're going to have to get through, and hopefully he'll learn a lesson.
Is he in the starting lineup today?
No.
He is not in the starting lineup, but you do have some good news. At least you hope it's good news. Dwight Gooden is on the mound here for this game today.
Well, I expect a good game out of Dwight. I know he's fired up for it. If he can get through warm-ups without being, harassed too badly, it's too close to the stands here, and I'm sure they're going to have some choice words for him. But if he can get through that, we'll be all right.
Davey, I hope things change quickly.
I hope so too, Ralph.
Davey Johnson, and we'll be back with more after this message from Miller Lite Beer. Well, checking out the scoreboard and the schedule for today's action in the major leagues. The San Francisco Giants are in Cincinnati. They have the only other day game going. And, of course, the Giants winning yesterday and 2 games back of the Cincinnati Reds. Giants coming back after a devastating loss to Cincinnati in the first game of that series. Pittsburgh scheduled against the Montreal Expos in Montreal. The St. Louis Cardinals 2 up now on the Cubs, losing yesterday, playing Philadelphia. And the Dodgers are playing Atlanta. The Dodgers have won 3 in a row. San Diego playing Houston. They can't win for losing, as Houston beat them yesterday by a score of 1-0. Over in the American League, the White Sox in last place are scheduled against Oakland. Toronto playing the New York Yankees. Toronto in first place, of course, over the Yankees, who are in second. Boston playing Baltimore in Baltimore. Cleveland playing the California Angels. California finally winning yesterday. Milwaukee over Detroit, and they're playing in Detroit. Kansas City playing Minnesota, and the Texas Rangers are playing against Seattle. Right here, it's the Mets against the Chicago Cubs. It's Scott Sanderson on the mound for the Cubs, and Dwight Gooden will be going for the New York Mets. We'll return in just a moment, right after this message from NatWest USA. Well, don't forget that we still have our Miller Lite contest, and the contest winner for today is Marie McMahon from Bloomfield, New Jersey, and she receives 4 tickets to a future Mets game. And the Mets playing their final game of this 3-game trip here in Chicago. They have lost the first 2. Both of them have been tough ball games to lose, as the Cubs won both games in their last at bat. And the Mets here going with Dwight Gooden, and Gooden making his second appearance of this season. His first was a winning effort. He went 6 2/3 innings, and he pulled off a win against Pittsburgh at Shea Stadium. This will be Gooden's first time out on the road, and of course they expect him to take a pretty good beating from the fans here in Chicago, but that's something he's going to have to face up to as he goes on the road and pitches other ball games away from the friendly confines of Shea Stadium. Gooden yesterday and the day before took some abuse from the fans in the bleachers, and they, of course, the bleacher bums here in Chicago are very tough on anybody that's an opposing player. And going for the Chicago Cubs, Scott Sanderson. He is a very slow working pitcher. You can expect a long game, and we hope it will be very exciting for you as the Mets play their final game here in Chicago. The Mets then go on to Pittsburgh for a series there, and then move from Pittsburgh to Montreal to close out the road trip before returning home to Shea Stadium. The weather conditions here are perfect today, overcast, and that's much better than having bright sunshine. It'll be much easier for the players to find the ball. This is a very difficult ballpark to play in. There's a lot of wind here and very hard to handle. So we're getting set for the start of the final game with the New York Mets and the Chicago Cubs. Stay with us.
Kiner's Corner has been brought to you by Miller Lite Beer. For great taste, there is only one light beer. By Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi, perfecting the experience. And by NatWest USA. The people and the resources you need today and tomorrow. Ralph Kiner's guest will receive a gift from Littman Jewelers, the Northeast's largest jewelers. A quartz watch by Pulsar. And a gift of Chinon's fine line of 35mm automatic cameras. Available now at Wholesale Photo, Midland Park, New Jersey, and at Grand Central Camera here in New York, or at the authorized Chinon dealer nearest you. Chinon, the great unknown. Kiner's Corner, produced by Bill Webb and Steve Olbaum. Directed by Bill Webb.
Live from Wrigley Field in Chicago, WWOR-TV presents New York Mets baseball. As this afternoon, the Mets take on the Chicago Cubs. Mets Baseball 87 is brought to you today by Budweiser. Beechwood H for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. By Nissan, who invites you to test drive a hot new Nissan car or truck and see why Nissan makes you feel like driving. By Burger King, where you get juicy, flame-broiled burgers, the best food for fast times. By the 9X Yellow Pages. It's the one you've always had. It's the only one you need. By the New York Daily News, New York's hometown paper. And by your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Ford dealers. Pitching for the Mets this afternoon, the doctor back on the mound. Dwight Gooden with a record now of 1-0 and an ERA of 1.35. And on the mound for the Cubs, it's right-hander Scott Sanderson, 3-2 with an ERA of 4.08. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Zabriskie, along with Rusty Staub and Ralph Kiner, who has already visited with you on a special edition of Kiner's Corner prior to today's game. And Ralph has detailed pretty much the story about the problems the Mets are having, and unusual problems they are, Rusty, both on and off the field. But as Ralph said, one positive thing going for the New York Mets today, Dwight Gooden back on the mound, and everyone, Rusty's encouraged by the job he did his first time out.
Well, I agree, Steve. I don't think anybody expected Dwight Gooden particularly to be able to get his breaking balls over like he did the first time out. His velocity was good. He maintained his high velocity of around 93, 94 miles an hour during the whole game. The curveball, he started right off in the first inning, getting it over, threw some changeups over. You had to be extremely impressed with the work he did. What's going to come down the line here, we don't know. But if the first game is any, if it's evident what's going to happen down the line, he did an excellent job that first game and had to really please Davey Johnson and Mel Stottlemyre, particularly because of the problems they're having with their starting rotation.
Well, the one thing Dwight's going to have to contend with, other than the outstanding Chicago Cub lineup and his opponent Scott Sanderson, is the 10th man. The Chicago Cubs Wrigley Field crowd that'll make their presence felt to a great degree when Dwight walks out of the dugout. And Rusty and Ralph will be back to kick it off, bring you the lineups and the first part of the ball game right after this for Budweiser. From
Wrigley Field in Chicago, Illinois, the Mets against the Cubs in the final game of the three-game set. The Cubs have won the first two, and we have a beautiful day for baseball, a Bud Day.
It is a Bud Day. That's a little balloon or whatever you want to call it. It's some kind of device they pump up with air. Sitting over the left field bleachers. I think by the time this year is over, Andre Dawson may attack that Bud.
Might put a hole in that can. While we're waiting for the Cubs to take the field, Chicago winning yesterday with the Cardinals losing, so the Cubs are 2 games behind the Cardinals. Montreal in third place, trailing St. Louis by 5.5 games. The Mets in a tie for fourth, 6.5 back. And in that tie also Philadelphia, Pittsburgh in last place, 9 out. And the ball girl here, as we get set to play with Scott Sanderson on the mound. Sanderson with a record of 3 wins, 2 losses, an earned run average of 4.08. And he has worked 53 innings, given up 57 hits, 10 of them home runs. He has walked just 13 while striking out 46. Scott Sanderson with a lifetime record against the Mets of 8 wins and 9 losses.
In the lineup for the New York Mets, Len Dykstra will open up in center field. Second slot, Mookie Wilson in right field. At first base, Keith Hernandez, a shaven Keith Hernandez at first base. Gary Carter behind the plate, back in the cleanup slot. Kevin McReynolds in the 5th slot, playing left field. At third base, Howard Johnson. Tim Tuffle hitting 7th, playing second base. Rafael Santana at short. And Dwight Gooden on the mound.
And the defense for Chicago. Durham at first, Sandberg at second, Dunston playing shortstop, Moreland playing third. And in left field, it'll be Mumphrey. In center field, Martinez. In right field, Dawson. The catcher is Davis. And Scott Sanderson, the pitcher, on the mound. The umpires for this game, Frank Pulley behind home plate, Dana DeMuth, the umpire at first, Billy Williams, the umpire at second, and John McSherry, the umpire at third. Temperature game time 54 degrees, the wind blowing from the northeast at 14 miles an hour. And as always, the wind is a factor here in this ballpark, and the bleacher bums are always a factor.
Those people in left and right field, the ones up top in center field really can't get to you, but if you're an outfielder, in left or right field, they're about as tough as there ever have been. There's really not that big a number of people out there, but you'd never know it when you're standing out there as an opposition outfielder.
When I played here for the Chicago Cubs in left field, of course, they used to give me all kinds of packages of gum. Hank Sire played right field. He got all kinds of packages of chewing tobacco because he chewed tobacco. They're very friendly when you have that Cubby uniform on.
Oh, yes.
But anything else, forget it. Lenny Dykstra to lead it off. And the first pitch by Scott Sanderson, a strike. Dykstra 2 for 9 so far in this series, hitting .318 for the year with 6 home runs, 17 runs batted in. Lenny in his last 22 ball games with 4 home runs and 10 runs batted in. Sanderson with a lifetime record of 81 and 71, and Frank Pulley in the act again.
Well, he certainly is, Ralph. He's definitely been active as far as the New York Mets organization is concerned. In fact, I asked Keith Hernandez, who you'll see when he comes up the first time, he shaved his mustache off. I said, did you do that so Frank Pulley, who threw him out of the game the first game here after a big altercation, Keith felt he would come up there and maybe not look like the same guy. Pulley might leave him alone.
Stick Michael arguing with Frank Pulley. Keith Hernandez ejected from the first game by Frank Pulley, and Keith said, well, he's got that uniform on, that blue uniform, he plays God. And Pulley responded by saying, did I get them picked off at second on the intentional walk play? Did I hit the 2-run home run? Manny Trillo hit that. And then Jerry Holtzman, who covered that, said he put on his coat and tie, adjusted his halo, and left the ballpark. And there's a strike call for strike 2.
I like Frank Pulley. I said this on Friday, but the way he handled the situation was not in good taste, not the way an umpire should handle an altercation with a player. Nobody in the ballpark even understood why he threw Keith Hernandez out of the game.
Well, Keith really didn't say anything that was of obscene nature. He did say something to the effect that call them both ways, or call them for both sides the same way, and he got ejected supposedly for that statement. The quote came from the on-deck batter Andre Dawson, who heard the remarks, and of course Andre, a Cub player. And the ground ball for the foul ball, and the count stays at 1-2. Pulley in that altercation was trying to charge into Keith Hernandez. He had to be kept out of the argument by John McSherry, the big third base umpire.
Well, that's what's, you know, when I said I don't think he handled himself well, that's what I was talking about, Ralph. An umpire is supposed to diffuse the situation, not throw gas on the fire.
Not fuse it. That is very true. Now the 1-2 pitch. And Dykstra an idea about bunting with a 2-strike count, but taking the pitch for ball 2, 2-2. Not going to get many walks off Sanderson. He has outstanding control, 13 walks in 53 innings. Sanderson 8 and 9 lifetime against the Mets. And the slider hit on the ground to the second baseman, Sandberg, and the throw to first for the first out.
Ralph, as much as Sanderson is 8-9 on his career against the Mets, he's 0-3 in 1986 with a 6.50 earned run average against the Mets. The Mets handled him very well. In his last start, he had one of the weirdest starts a pitcher's had in a long time, in my opinion. He went 5 1/3 innings to lose to the St. Louis Cardinals. In that 5 1/3 innings, he gave up 11 hits, but he didn't walk anybody, and he struck out 10. I mean, when you figure that somebody gave up 11 hits in 5 1/3 innings, you'd think that he would have lost a bigger score. It was only 3-1.
So Sanderson now working to Mookie Wilson, and the off-speed pitch for ball 1. Mookie hitting .319 with 5 home runs, 15 runs batted in. Got his 5th home run in the 9th inning of yesterday's ball game. Mets losing 6-5, and the fastball fouled away. Mookie in this series has had 2 hits and 2 at-bats, a double and a home run for his 2 hits. And a ground ball to the shortstop, Dunston, and his throw to first base for the out. So 2 up and 2 down. And the batter will now be Keith Hernandez.
Keith Hernandez has yet to get a hit in this series, Ralph. And as you see, there is no mustache.
Looks like he's about 6 years younger.
I told him, I said, if you're trying to change your luck, go ahead, but please grow that thing back.
He's 0 for 8 in this series. Had a tough series, as a matter of fact, and he said his timing has been off. He's out in front of the pitches. Keith hitting .301 for the year with 5 home runs, 23 runs batted in.
In his last 16 games, he's hitting .313, but it was all at the front part. He struggled these last few games.
And he goes after an off-speed pitch for strike 2.
And that's the pitch that's been giving him the most trouble, Ralph. Struck out 3 times against curveballs in game 1. Pitch is very similar to that. Out of the strike zone. It means he's starting too soon. He's not letting the ball get there.
So a 2-strike count. Now the fastball wasted in the count 1 and 2.
In those situations, I feel the only thing a hitter can do is to try to hit the ball back through the middle. If he doesn't do that, he's just going to keep staying out front.
Back with a fastball, and Keith looking for the breaking ball is called out on strikes. Borderline pitch, a strike call by Frank Pulley, and the Mets go in order. The score at the end of 1/2 inning. The Mets nothing, the Cubs coming up. Now here's a word from Lincoln Mercury. Well, a friendly sign in the friendly confines of Chicago. Welcome back, Doc Kay. And Dwight Gooden on the mound for the Mets. He's 1-0 with an earned run average of 1.35. This is his second game start. And the Doc has worked 6 2/3 innings in his first game start, picking up that victory with that earned run average of 1.35. The Doc struck out 5 in that first ball game. And he'll be pitching to the Cubs with a lifetime record of 10-2.
And leading off for the Cubs at second base will be Ryne Sandberg. Batting second in left field, Jerry Mumphrey. Andre Dawson in right field hitting third. The cleanup slot, Leon Durham at first base. Jody Davis behind the plate. Keith Moreland hitting 6th at third base. At shortstop hitting 7th, Sean Dunston. Dave Martinez in center field in the 8th slot, and Scott Sanderson, the pitcher.
And the defense for the Cubs, I should say for the Mets, Hernandez at first, Tuffle at second, Santana playing shortstop, Johnson playing third. In the outfield, McReynolds in left, Dykstra in center field, Wilson in right. The catcher, Gary Carter, and Dwight Gooden on the mound. Ryne Sandberg to lead it off, hitting .283 for the year with 11 home runs, 32 runs batted in. And the fastball hit in the air to right. Mookie having trouble with it, and then finally tracking it down. So Wilson, fighting that wind, fighting the sun, hauls in the first pitch by Gooden.
Well, he certainly gets a tough play right off the bat. Sandberg hits it good. Mookie not real used to right field. Has not been out there much. Showed it on that play, Ralph.
Sandberg hitting Gooden fairly well, hitting .277 against the Doc with 1 home run and 10 runs batted in with 13 hits. Now Jerry Mumphrey, the batter. Mumphrey hitting .333, 2 home runs, 16 runs batted in. Had a 9-game hitting streak stopped yesterday, and he's had 10 hits in the 9 games. And the first pitch, strike 1. Mumphrey hitting .190 against the Doc, 4 for 21, but he has driven in 9 runs. And the ground ball foul, and the strike 2.
The breaking ball was the most successful pitch that even set his fastball up in game 1, Ralph. Normally Dwight Gooden sets his other pitches up by his fastball, but I think coming out in that first start, the breaking ball was the thing that set the keynote for the day for him.
Had a great curveball, and he goes to the fastball there.
And Dwight Gooden's first start, in fact, two of the first 3 starts he had in Wrigley Field, he struggled. A lot of people felt that the Cubs might have been giving signs out of the scoreboard or out in center field as you see a ball down low. You played here a lot, Ralph. You know they did give some signs around this ballpark.
Nah, you can't say that, Rusty. They wouldn't do that.
Like you were a team member here, pal. I know.
Well, that scoreboard is there. They also thought that they took signs out of that little television box out there that shelters the camera. And that pitch, a breaking ball, and Mumphrey sits back down.
Well, Mumphrey didn't like this call at all. It's an off-speed pitch. He goes out, he's called out. It's such a debatable point. They say you got to break your wrist, but that's not true. If you appear to swing at the ball, that's what the umpires are calling.
So Mumphrey, the first strikeout victim, and that brings up Andre Dawson, who's having such a great year with Montreal, with the ex-Montreal player. Dawson with the Cubs for the first time, hitting .296 for the year, 20 home runs, 58 RBIs. He's 2 for 7 in the series, moves in on the curveball, gets jammed, and Santana with an easy play, and the Cubs going over. So the first 6 men up, all out, and the score at the end of 1, the Mets nothing, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Old Spice. Well, we're going to the top of the second, no score. Each side out in order, and now Gary Carter to lead it off for the Mets. Carter out of action for a couple of days, now back in, brings a 6-game hitting streak into the game. Gary hitting .243, 5 home runs, 27 RBIs, and Sanderson starts off with a breaking ball. Talking about stealing signs, anytime you have people in center field or a scoreboard in center field, the slider foul back, you always suspect that someone is there with either binoculars or a telescope, looking in, getting the signs from the catcher, decoding the signs, and then flashing them back to the hitter.
It sounds like it's complicated, but it's really kind of easy.
This ball hit high in the air to left center field, way back, and it is gone. Goodbye. Gary Carter with a home run to left center field, and the Mets go up 1-0.
Gary Carter, Scott Sanderson's catcher for many years in Montreal. There is a little burning rivalry there. Gary Carter, after having a couple of days off, that busted toe, certainly has been getting hit a lot this year, Ralph, with foul balls, not only at the plate, but from hitters, and he just hits this ball against the wind a little bit, and it just keeps carrying in the basket. Nice catch by the fan.
So the Mets take a lead, 1-0, and the batter now will be Kevin McReynolds. McReynolds taking the first pitch for ball 1. Kevin hitting .249 for the year with 9 home runs, 26 RBIs. That home run, the 14th, make that the 11th home run given up by Sanderson this year. And mentioning that ill feeling between Sanderson and Carter, Sanderson has plunked Carter on a few occasions.
He certainly has. It's a real battle out there between those two guys. Some unnice words were shared by both parties.
Hard line drive, base hit off the curveball. McReynolds on his way for 2. The ball fielded by Mumphrey, and 2 hard hit balls, and the Mets have 1 run in and a man on second.
One of the things McReynolds has not been doing is staying back on the ball. There's a breaking ball he stays back excellently on. Ropes it down the left field line. An easy double. Mumphrey throwing into third base.
Boy, he puts a good swing on this one.
He certainly does. Everything is together there. He kind of glided into that ball instead of jumping at it. That's why he was so effective in hitting it.
So a runner in scoring position with no one out. And the batter will be Howard Johnson. Howard having a great series against the Cubs. He's 4 for 6 with 2 home runs. And Howard now with 10 home runs on the year and 30 runs batted in, hitting .249. Sanderson gets McReynolds' attention as he slides back into the second with no throw.
We have the ever-present situation of a man on second and nobody out, Ralph. Again, Howard Johnson, not someone who hits the ball the opposite way in the first place. I certainly hope he's very aggressive in this time at bat, trying to pull a ball.
That's one thing he can do. In fact, he has trouble pulling the ball too much. But of course, in this case, Sanderson will be trying to keep him from pulling the ball. That means he'll work him outside, and that's the pitch that Johnson hits well to right.
I've never seen any hitter be able to pull the fastball out over the plate down the right field line more than Howard Johnson. Sometimes to a detriment.
And the curveball for a ball, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. And that's a ball you can pull. Johnson usually pulls that ball foul. Mets have lost 3 straight, but they have won 9 of their last 15 and 12 of their last 20. Fastball and a strike, and the count now 2-1.
Mets struggled long and hard to get up over 500. Have slipped back to that level now. Each series that they go into, more and more emphasis will be put on how important this series is. But a win today is what they're looking for.
Cubs winning the first 2 games of this 3-game set. 2-1 the count. Johnson swings so hard that he loses his balance and goes on down. That pitch out of the strike zone.
I don't know what happens here. I don't know whether he hurt something or what. But he swings and his feet get all tangled up. He's down. And he certainly doesn't bounce up real quick. I wonder if something gave in his ankle, Ralph. I don't know.
He might be embarrassed.
That's when you want to just start digging backward.
Man,
Get that mud and cover yourself.
that's what you call a swing and screwing yourself right into the ground. A corkscrew. 2-2 now. And the curveball, he's caught looking. So Howard Johnson taking the curveball and failing to move the runner up.
Well, that's exactly what takes place, Ralph. It's a nice curveball, sit right on the inside part of the plate. Not a tough pitch to hit. Just you couldn't have been set up to handle the whole plate at that time. He might have been looking fastball too much.
He was swinging obviously too hard in that situation where you must make contact. There are certain times when you go for it, and there are certain times when you have to make contact. Now the batter is Tim Teufel. One of the things about baseball, in my opinion, that has changed is that the strikeout has become more prevalent, and the hitters care less about it. They don't worry about striking out rather than making contact. And that pitch is ball 1 as you look at Tim Teufel.
It's almost like they accept it, Ralph. I agree with you in that fact, but I do think that the rewards financially for hitting home runs have outweighed so many other things that people are going more and more for home runs and RBIs.
More penalty. There is no penalty really for the strikeout. 1-0 pitch to Teufel is a strike call. Sort of the Dick Stewart philosophy.
Swing hard in case you hit it, right?
Well, that was one of his philosophical points. The other was if he struck out, he helped the team because he didn't hit into double plays.
Well, that's good logic, sure.
Teufel with 2 home runs, 15 runs batted in, got his second in this series, and another called strike. That's leading 1-0 on the home run by Gary Carter as he led off the inning. That was followed by a double by McReynolds, then the strikeout to Johnson, and now a 1-2 count to Tim Teufel. That's without the services of Wally Backman, who has a pulled hamstring. Mets are debating about putting him on the DL. Fastball hit on the ground out toward first. A race for first base. Teufel running down the line, and he is safe. Sanderson did not get the bag. He was lucky he didn't get carried in the right field by Teufel. And all hands are safe on the play. McReynolds goes over to third.
Scott Sanderson has always been lax. You saw him just standing there. He's always been lax going to first base. Here it cost him again. Teufel does beat him to the bag. If he tags him or not, I don't know here. We're going to get an angle here. He's reaching for him. The umpire sees Teufel's foot hit the bag before Sanderson's. Whether he was looking at the tag or not, I don't know. Mets might have got a break there, Ralph.
Did look like he had him touched, but it was certainly a very close play. Dana DeMuth is the umpire at first base, and they don't argue the play to any long degree. And right here, you can't tell whether he got the glove on there. He didn't appear to react to the tag.
That's a real tough play for the umpire, because he's trying to see whose foot's going to get to the bag first. He looks like he's going to call him out, and he just calls safe. And I think it's because the foot of Teufel's beat Sanderson's to the bag. You have to be looking at the bag, I think, if you're the umpire in that situation.
So the Mets with runners at first and third on the call by Dana DeMuth, and the batter now is Rafael Santana. And the first pitch, ball 1.
But give Scott Sanderson a bad grade for getting off the mound to cover first base.
Now, he made that play a bad play, as he didn't get off the mound. He became a spectator.
Can't do that as a pitcher.
Santana 1 for 4 in this series, hitting .265 for the year, and the sliders called a ball. 2 balls, no strikes. Santana with 2 home runs, 11 runs batted in. And Rafael in his last 27 games hitting .321. Again, the breaking ball, and the count 3-0.
The Cub pitching staff has definitely become a breaking ball pitching staff. And a not so good break for the New York Mets. Before the game today, Rick Aguilera was throwing and had a little twinge still in his elbow. Not good news for Davy Johnson.
You're going to give him a little more rest and then try him again. 3-0 pitch, a strike call. Scott Sanderson, 81 and 71 in his major league career. And the little league play put on there by Sanderson.
With inexperienced base runners, you see that more often, but the Cubs have worked on all these little plays a lot.
This ball ripped to left field, misjudged by the left fielder Jerry Mumphrey. McReynolds comes in to score. Tuffle goes to third, and Santana in at second with a 2-base hit, and the Mets lead by a score of 2-0.
Rafael Santana just jumps all over this fastball up in the strike zone. As you called it, Ralph, Mumphrey moved in on that ball, and the ball just took off over his head. McReynolds comes in easily. Tuffle goes over to third, and Santana's in the second with an easy double.
So the Mets with runners in scoring position with 1 man out, 2 runs in, and the batter will be Dwight Gooden. Gooden has been up 3 times this year, and he has not had a base hit.
In the latter part of the game, manager Gene Michael always replaces Mumphrey with Brian Dayette. That might be the reason why. Certainly did not react well to that ball.
Cubs playing their infield in for a play at the plate. And Gooden bounces it out to short. Great play on it by Dunston. The throw to first for the out. But Dunston making that play to pick up the out saved a run as the Mets get one. But the runner behind Santana unable to score as he could only go to third. Fine stop.
He certainly does, and he's way off balance to be able to make a throw behind yourself almost like that. To get Gooden going down the baseline. Certainly did save that run, Ralph. That ball gets through the infield. Rafael Santana scores easy.
But the Mets do get a run as Gooden gets his first run batted in this year, and now the batter will be Len Dykstra. Dykstra grounded out his first time up. And the first pitch, ball 1.
The Chicago Cub pitching staff leads the National League in wild pitches. They have 17 wild pitches already, Ralph.
And this ball fouled away, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. They are second in earned run average in the National League at 3.86 as a team. That is a lot of wild pitches.
How about the balks? They've got 14 balks called on them this year. That's an incredible amount of balks, and that's almost like a season total for a club. We're in June.
There are more balks being called in the National League than at any time in the history of Major League Baseball. And that, of course, is an umpire's judgment call, and they are judging those movements as balks more than ever.
Well, there have been so many things done to try to negate the running game that's so prevalent right now in baseball, and has been for the last 5 or 6 years.
2-1 the count to Dykstra. And now 2-2 in the foul tip.
That was a big swing by Len Dykstra, and as we were talking, there's a time and a place to try to make some contact. This is one of them. Man on third base, any kind of hit, no matter how it is going to score that run. Lenny Dykstra should cut down on his stroke right here a little bit and make sure he makes some good contact. Put the ball in play.
2 balls, 2 strikes, the count. The Mets leading by a score of 3-0 with 3 runs in here in the top of the second. And he struck him out. So that ends the inning, but the Mets get 3. On 4 hits, they leave 1 at third, and the score at the end of 1.5 innings, the Mets 3, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Nissan. Well, we're going now to the bottom half of the second. The Mets leading by a score of 3-0, and the leadoff batter for the Cubs will be Leon Durham. Durham with a home run in this series, 3 for 8. And he is hitting .305 for the year with 13 home runs, 21 RBI. Cubs lead the National League in home runs with 84. They're tied for 5th in hitting with a team average at .267. But they have been hitting home runs at a tremendous rate. At their current pace, they will hit 239 home runs. Their record was set in 1958, and that was 182. And a good fastball by Gooden. Strike 2.
We're back to that current pace again, huh, Ralphie?
Well, just thought I'd get that in there. The all-time record for home runs in a single season by one team, 240 by the 1961 New York Yankees.
I stole a base opening day one day.
And at that rate, you would have had 162. There's a drive to left center field. Dykstra there, and he one-hands it. So Durham a long out. And that will bring up Jody Davis. Davis has hit Doc very well. He's had 9 hits, one of them a home run, driven in 7 runs, hitting .273 against the hard-throwing right-hander.
He's yet to get a hit in this series, though, Ralph. He's been struggling a little bit. Hasn't even really hit the ball that hard.
Overall, Jody Davis hitting .267 with 10 home runs, 25 RBIs, and Gooden's fastball hit in the air to right. Mookie Wilson is there, 2 men away. That'll bring up Keith Moreland, and he has been a hot batter. Moreland in his last 9 ball games has had 7 home runs. 7 home runs. He's 3 for 7 in this series.
Wind is blowing in from right field toward home plate today. Every once in a while it seems to blow across the field, so the ball down the left field line is going to carry a little bit.
And Moreland goes after the fastball and fouls it off. Moreland so far this year hitting under his norm. Hitting .242 with 9 home runs, 34 RBIs, but he has been raising that average. Got off to a horrible start.
There's that flag on top of the stadium. You see it kind of blown across the left, but more in from right.
Going off of Lake Michigan. And it's a cool day, but a nice day for ball. Curveball grounded foul. Strike 2.
I used to hate that wind, Ralph. I'd come in here and that wind would be blowing across like that. You know you're in trouble.
All you left-hand hitters were.
Oh, yeah. Your right-handers kind of like that prevalent wind, especially if you pull it down that left field line. But I'll tell you, it didn't stop anything yesterday. The wind was blowing in most of the day yesterday, and balls were flying out of this ballpark.
Howard Johnson with a home run. Tim Tuffle with a home run. Mookie Wilson with a home run for the Mets in yesterday's game. That's 1 and 2. And for the Cubs, a home run by Leon Durham, a home run by Sean Dunston. So a total of 5 home runs in yesterday's ball game. Ground ball back to Gooden. Good play on that one. And Gooden now has retired his first 6 batters. And the score at the end of 2, the Mets 3, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Burger King. Wilson going for the 3-base hit as he hits the first pitch off the wall in left center field, and he does it with a stand-up running 3-base hit. So Mookie really rifling that ball on the line off the wall.
Sanderson throws that curveball. It just kind of stays up out over the plate. Wilson drills it off the vines. Not such a great play by Martinez. Gives Mookie Wilson a triple. He has to go for that ball.
At
That's just one of those tough plays coming off a wall.
Well, Mookie now with 5 3-base hits. He has the Mets record for the most triples in a career. And the 3-base hit brings up Keith Hernandez. Keith was called out on strikes his first time up. Keith is 0 for 9 in this series, and he usually hits very well in this part.
Well, the Cubs are giving him a run. Shortstop, second base, first base are all playing deep. Third base is in. So any ground ball through the right side is going to score a run.
And Sanderson with that slow curveball, and he misses the strike zone. Keith Sands mustache. First time, he says, in 8 years that he hasn't had that camouflage.
You know, players do strange things to get out of little slumps.
Do anything to get out of a slump. There's one hit in the air to left. It should score a run. Might be gone. It is gone. Goodbye. Keith Hernandez with a 2-run home run, and the Mets lead it by a score of 5-0.
As I said, Ralph, players will do anything to get out of a slump. He'll be shaving that mustache tonight, too. You can bet on that.
Boy, that was a rocket out of here.
Yesterday, a ball traveled real well against the wind in the center field. The line drives, when the wind's blowing in, they seem to just hit a little gust of, like an inverted wind. It just kind of turned. The real ball carries like unbelievable. That ball looked like it was going to be an easy sacrifice fly, and it just jumped out of here.
Like a bullet, and the Mets coming up with 2 more runs, so we have a conference at the mound as Herm Starrett, the pitching coach of the Cubs, goes out to check out Scott Sanderson. For Keith, his 6th home run of the year.
And Scott Sanderson, as we talked earlier, he and Gary Carter have had many confrontations.
Frank DePina now throwing in the bullpen for the Cubs, I believe.
Might be Mike Mason.
It is Mike.
But Gary Carter hit a home run the first time up off Scott Sanderson. He's just given up a 2-run home run. Herm Starrett might have gone out there to just try to calm him down.
And it's hit up the middle, a base hit. So Sanderson with a fastball, and Carter gets his 2nd of the game. He now has hit in 7 consecutive ball games. Did that with a home run his first time up. And the Mets keep rocketing the ball.
Gary Carter certainly coming out of his slump now. Hitting balls through the middle, hitting them in the gaps. You see Carter, he stays in on that. Look where his head is.
Well, that's a good swing.
He's right in there.
Gary told me that he's been working on something, which I totally concur, and that is getting his right knee driven into the ball. He says that he has been hitting with a stiff right knee and then consequently off his back heel. And he thought he got into that habit because of a bad knee. And he's had more bad knees, I guess, than anybody. And he's been trying to get that right knee kicked in. And on that pitch, he certainly did. And on the pitch before, he certainly did. You can really see that right knee coming up, the back knee, into the hitting position. It's an extremely important part of hitting the ball hard.
It's also keeping that left shoulder in. Maybe the knee is helping him mentally keep everything together.
Well, it keeps it in. If you keep that back leg straight, your left shoulder opens up. Hitting off that back heel, you open your whole body up and consequently get nothing behind it. Now Kevin McReynolds the batter, and of course he has a count of 1 and 2. McReynolds hitting .249 with 9 home runs, 26 RBIs. Doubled his first time up, hitting a line drive down the left field side off a slider. And the curveball for ball 2, 2 and 2.
Sanderson, when he first came up to the big leagues, was a power pitcher. You are certainly not watching a power pitcher today.
Boy, he's all breaking balls and no fastball at all. And there's the curveball and strike 3. So McReynolds struck out. 4 strikeout for Sanderson.
You see another off-speed pitch. Good location. Just out of the strike zone. Kevin McReynolds leaning forward. This whole Cubs staff seems to just have turned into breaking ball pitchers.
Now the batter for the Mets will be Howard Johnson, who got caught looking at a curveball his first time up. 2nd strikeout victim for Sanderson. And he gets another curve.
Even Lee Smith, Ralph, who was one of their
You're
big
right.
power pitchers. He threw at least 50% breaking balls. I think more than 50% breaking balls the last 2 days when he's come in relief.
And he is a man who can throw it in the middle 90s. Another curveball. This one a strike call, 1-1. You're watching Mets Baseball 87 on WWOR TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Mets leading 5-0.
If you're a hitter, Ralph, what do you look for when you go up to the plate now?
Got to look curveball. Gets a fastball and he hits it to right field for base hit. Carter easing down to second. He can barely run. And Johnson has his 5th hit of the series, and the Mets have their 4th hit in this inning. And we wouldn't be a bit surprised to have a pitching change.
This might be a changeup right here, Ralph. The ball's tailing out over the plate. Howard Johnson, who pulls fastballs out over the plate anyway, thinks Scott Sanderson actually used that more as an off-speed pitch. Wasn't his good pop fastball. Not that he's used that much at all today anyway.
So the Mets with their 4th hit in the inning, and that'll bring up Tim Teufel as Gene Michael ponders the situation. The Mets leading 5-0. Runners at first and second, 1 man out, and Teufel the batter. Teufel beat out an infield hit his first time up. That set it up for the Mets to score 2 big runs in the second inning on a double by Rafael Santana.
Teufel struggling coming into this game, was 6 for his last 31.
Home run in yesterday's ball game. That was a big one. Tied up the game at 4, but the Mets lost it 6-5.
That's the home run we've talked about a couple of times that no one believed went out of the ballpark in dead center field. But it just jumped out of here.
Ground ball foul. Teufel out in front of the breaking ball. 1-2.
It's almost getting to be like it's getting trite to talk about how much the ball is moving in 1987. There is absolutely no doubt that the ball is just jumping. It has to be the livest ball ever used in the big leagues.
Well, back in 1930, they had a mighty live balls. The entire National League hit for a composite average of over 300. Last time that's ever been done.
Well, I don't know if Tim Teufel thought that was a strikeout or not. You see Scott Sanderson laughing. Tim Teufel starts walking like he's going to the dugout. There you see it. Curveball. My word, that looks pretty. He's walking in. He already thinks he's called out.
Frank Pulley again.
Scott Sanderson just smiling.
That's hard to do.
What can you do?
It's hard to smile when you're losing 5-0. And this ball will be gone. Forget it. Goodbye. 3-run home run by Tim Teufel. And the Mets lead it by a score of 8-0 as Teufel gets his 2nd home run in this series.
Well, you see Stick Michaels coming out of the dugout right now. Sanderson will talk about that pitch a lot. Coming after a pitch that looked like it was obviously a strike. Tim Teufel walking to the dugout, thinking it was strike 3. Gets a ball called. Next pitch, 3-run homer.
Teufel's 3rd home run of the year, and that is all for Scott Sanderson. He leaves the ball game trailing by a score of 8-0, and we'll be back right after this word from Nissan. Scott Sanderson knocked out of the box by Tim Teufel.
Well, Scott Sanderson, who's been a breaking ball pitcher all day, tries to sneak a fastball, and he sneaks it. He sneaks it up in the left field seats. Ball's just up in the strike zone. In fact, that ball's not even a strike. Teufel went up out of the strike zone to hit that ball. You see Mike Mason on the mound now, pitching for the Cubs. Mason on the year is 2-1 with a 4.19 earned run average. No saves.
He has worked 19 in the 3rd innings, given up a total of 10. Make that 16 base hits. 2 of them have been home runs. He's walked 13, struck out 18 in pitching to Rafael Santana, who drove in a run with a double his first time up. And that pitch fouled off. So they count 2-1.
The New York Mets, Ralph, certainly need a game with a lot of offense. just to get their spirits back up.
Teufel in this ball game with a 3-run home run. And also an infield base hit that drove in a run. So he's had 4 RBIs. That ties his career high. Third time he's had 4 runs batted in one game. And Santana is walked. So it continues as the Mets send Dwight Gooden to the plate. He represents the 8th batter to bat in this inning.
Certainly not the way Mike Mason wanted to start this off, with a walk. I think we'll see Dwight Gooden bunting. You never know with an 8-run lead. See what Davey Johnson's philosophy is here.
Gooden drove in a run on a ground out his first time up, and he squares and takes, and it's called a strike.
You can never trust a lead in Wrigley Field.
Now, 8 runs really is nothing.
In that Cardinals series, they must have scored 100 runs in 3 games.
One time
it was 4 games, though, wasn't it?
4-game series. The Cardinals were leading 1 game by a 9-0 score, and the Cubs came back in the 4th to score 7.
It's not one of those days where the wind is blowing out. It was blowing out when all those runs were scored with St. Louis in town. That was the previous series to this one. But the ball's been flying out of this ballpark today. More to left field, as we said, than to right, because the wind is blowing in from right field.
And this ball swung on and popped up. The third baseman, Moreland, making the catch. On the bounce.
That ball just went right off the plate. Went about 100 feet in the air, and Moreland had absolutely no chance. They get Dwight Gooden.
And he was actually fighting the sun in that high bouncer. He almost lost it in the sun. Watch it bounce.
Boom! Way up there. Gooden looks at it. I mean, watch how long it takes. The pitcher can't see it. Moreland's struggling. He has no chance. Gooden's across the base almost by the time the ball comes down.
And Gooden gets his first hit this year, as he had been 0 for 4. So he's had his first hit and his first run batted in. The Mets now send their 9th man to the plate. It'll be Lenny Dykstra, who is 0 for 2 and batting for the 3rd time here in the 3rd. Mets now with 6 hits in the inning, 10 on the ball game, and leading by a score of 8-0. And the first pitch, a fastball fouled away. Talking about runs scored, back in 1979 on May 17th, the Phillies beat the Cubs 23-22. And it took a home run by Mike Schmidt in the 10th inning to win it for the Phillies. So in this ballpark, anything can happen. The biggest shutout spread ever was 1975 on September 16th, when Pittsburgh beat the Cubs 22-0. That was a ball game that Rennie Stennett went 7 for 7. And the Cubs defeated the Phillies in 1972 by a score of 26-23. And the Cubs led at one point after 4 innings, 25-6 in that ball game.
25-6.
And barely won it, 26-23.
A lot of earned run averages took a pounding on that day.
So Dykstra is struck out.
Mason, good breaking ball. Catches that front corner. Tough pitch for the hitter, but a great pitch for the pitcher.
And that'll bring up Mookie Wilson, who started this inning with a triple off the wall in left center field. Pitch in the dirt for a ball.
Ralph, I wonder how many guys have gotten 2 hits in an inning, one from the right side of the plate and one from the left. Mookie Wilson has that opportunity right now.
Mickey Mantle got home runs in the same game from each side of the plate 10 times, and Eddie Murray of the Baltimore Orioles did it this year and has 8 home runs left-handed and right-handed. So there must have been a few times that
it happened in the same inning.
Not in the same inning. The first man to hit a home run from each side of the plate in a single game was a Chicago Cub player named Augie Gallant. Very first man to ever do that. Wasn't too long ago, somewhere in the 40s.
That was the first time, Ralph?
First time ever. Frankie Frisch and some of those others never did that.
I made 2 outs in an inning.
Well,
I also got
that.
2 hits in an inning once, so I've covered both ends of the gamut. You make 2 outs in an inning, boy, you don't live it down for about a week.
1 ball, 1 strike. The count to Mookie Wilson, and he takes for ball 2. 2-1. Leading 8-0. Mookie, the 10th man to bat in this inning, and he swings through a fastball. 2-2. Mike Grayson in relief of Scott Sanderson. He misses low, and that puts it at 3-2. So the runners will be going with the next delivery. Count 3-2 and 2 men out.
Mets came into this game with 34 home runs in their last 29, so that's 37-30.
And the runners go, and the ball is hit into foul territory. Durham, the first baseman over there, but he does not even see it. And the catch is made by Jody Davis. And that ends the inning. So the Mets, with a big inning, sending 10 men to the plate, scoring 5 runs on 6 hits, and 2 men were left on. The score at the end of 2.5 innings, the Mets 8, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Ford.
The Mets and Farmland Dairies are proud to introduce the all-new Junior Mets Club, now open for membership to Mets fans 14 and under. Members will receive exclusive club items, including color-action baseball cards, a pro-style batting glove, discount ticket coupons for special Junior Mets Club games, an invitation to a Junior Mets baseball clinic at Shea, and much, much more. To join, just send $6 or $5 plus 2 proof of purchases from Farmland Dairies milk to Junior Mets Club, Shea Stadium, Flushing, New York, 11368. Please include, now this is important, please include your name, address, telephone number, and age, and allow 4 to 6 weeks delivery.
And on June 21st, a Sunday at 1:35 p.m., it'll be the Mets versus the Philadelphia Phillies. It'll also be Father's Day, as all men 15 and over will receive a specially designed shaving kit featuring the Mets World Championship logo, all courtesy of Ivory Soap. Tickets are available at all Ticketron outlets, at Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or by calling 718-507-TIXX during regular business hours for all ticket information.
And we're going to the bottom half of the third. The Mets leading by a score of 8-0. Cubs coming up, and their leadoff batter will be Sean Dunston. Dunston 2 for 8 in this series, batting for the first time against Dwight Gooden, and the curveball hit the third. Howard Johnson throws Dunston out. Dunston, before the out, hitting .245 for the year with 4 home runs, 16 runs batted in. 1 pitch and 1 away. That'll bring up Dave Martinez. Martinez hitting .262, 1 home run, 12 runs batted in. 2 for 6 in this series. Martinez hitting against Gooden, 1 for 5 in his major league career. Gooden has won his last 8 straight decisions against the Cubs. And when he struck out Jerry Mumphrey in the first inning, it marked his 100th strikeout of Cubs batters. And Gooden has struck out more Cubs batters than any other team.
That's his first club with 100 Ks, eh?
First club with 100 Ks. And a strike call.
There will be more, Ralph. They're all coming.
And a good curveball. Strike 2.
When I think of strikeouts, I think of Tommy Seaver trying to tie, or actually go ahead on that record of striking 200 people out in a season.
10 years
in a row.
And a high pop up to shallow center field. Tupple fighting to send Dykstra calling, and it's caught by Tupple. And once again, Dykstra in a near collision. Dykstra was certainly calling on the play.
That's Dykstra's ball. Tim Tupple has got to be playing off the outfielder. The wind is gusting, and that's why you have a lot of people. Now, you see Lenny Dykstra. He's yelling, screaming, moving. Tupple's got a peek at him. When he's gone out, he never looked at him at one time, and it's really because it's a sunny day in a windy ballpark, and they're afraid to take their eyes off the ball because they think they're going to lose it.
Well, the out is made, but it's a little hectic, and now the batter will be Mason, Mike Mason, and he grounds the ball foul.
We were speaking of that game with Tom Seaver going into that last game. I believe it was against the Philadelphia Phillies, Ralph. You have to check that little blue book of yours. He struck out a lot of guys in the last few innings of the game to get to 200 strikeouts. One of the most exciting performances I've ever seen on a baseball field.
That was a year that Seaver had to miss quite a few games because of that bad back that he had. And M. Donald Grant, who was then the president of the ball club, insisted that Seaver see a certain doctor. I've forgotten his name. And the doctor evidently did help him, and Seaver came back and pitched that last game and got the strikeouts that gave him over 200 for the 10th consecutive year. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count.
In a game like this where you're so far ahead, sometimes a pitcher gets a little lax on the mound. So far that has not happened to Dwight Gooden.
And the fastball is fouled away.
You have a tendency to feel like you don't have to really get ahead of hitters, or you really kind of relax a little bit. Some pitchers can't pitch with a lead. Dwight Gooden certainly has proven in the past that he can do that.
Mason has yet to have a hit. And this ball hit through the middle, and he has his first hit. And the Cubs get their first hit of the ball game. Gooden had retired his first 8 batters. So Mason gets his first hit. And that's the first hit given up by Gooden.
Well, it's about the first thing the Cub fans have had an opportunity to cheer for. Certainly not a well-hit ball. Rafael Santana playing Mason way in the hole, not expecting him to get around on Gooden.
Mason had been 0 for 4 before the base hit. So he is on, and that brings up Ryne Sandberg, who was out his first time up on a drive to deep right. Good catch on the ball by Mookie Wilson. And the fastball, ball 1.
Mets outfield giving Sandberg a big gap in right center.
Speaking of 200 strikeout seasons, Gooden the only pitcher to do it his first 3 years in the major leagues. This ball driven hard to left off a breaking ball. And Reynolds plays it off the brick wall. And Mason goes to third. And Sandberg with a double.
Puts the ball up. Sandberg's all over it. One hop into the vine. Reynolds makes a nice pickup. That ball come off erratic. A run could have scored, but it did not. And the Cubs now have men on second and third, 2 outs.
Sandberg's 14th hit off Dwight Gooden. He has more than any other Cub, and now with runners in scoring position and 2 men out, the batter will be Jerry Mumphrey. Mumphrey the only man to strike out for the Cubs in this game.
Mumphrey loves this ballpark. In his career, he's hitting over 360 in Wrigley Field.
And the fastball fouled away.
He's played in his ballpark for a couple of years now. Been in baseball quite a bit of time. That's a pretty high batting average in one ballpark, Ralph.
He has been a 300 batter, and he does it very quietly. No one really pays much attention to it. Batted 300 for the Yankees. Last year over 300 for the Cubs. Came to the Cubs from Houston in the Billy Hatcher trade.
Certainly a trade that both clubs have benefited from. Humphrey doing a fine job here in Chicago, and Hatcher coming into his own as a player at Houston.
Hatcher hitting .324 in the top 10 in hitting in the National League. One and two the count. Tony Gwynn, the leading hitter in the National League, at .367, then Pedro Guerrero at .351. Then Jeff Leonard at .344 and Candy Maldonado at .342. And a good fastball just missing, 2-2. Eric Davis and Andre Dawson, the leading home run hitters, at 20. And Andre Dawson leading the National League in RBIs with 58.
The umpires have gradually moved the strike zone down a little bit, Ralph. It's a little below the knees. It seems to be like a little pyramid as it gets down low. The plate seems to widen, but up top you don't get many strikes.
That was really a close pitch, that last fastball. There it is again, and this time it's foul.
It's supposed to be the letters to the top of the knees. Again, the players must study the umpire's strike zone. Every umpire has his own area that he calls balls and strikes in. You hope they're always going to be consistent. That's the one thing you want out of an umpire, is consistency. Once he establishes that strike zone, you have to remember it, because he's the one calling all the shots.
Two and two as Gooden works to Jerry Mumphrey, and he gets him for the second time with a curveball. Gooden's second strikeout. It ends the scoring threat. So in the inning, 2 hits and 2 left in scoring position, and the score at the end of 3 as Steve Zabriskie comes in for the play-by-play with Rusty Staub. It is the Mets 8 and the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Budweiser.
And here we are, top of the 4th inning, and Steve Zabriskie's back in the booth. Welcome back, Steve.
Thank you, Russ. And the mustachio-less Keith Hernandez will lead it off. The question was raised next door where the writers hang out in the press box when Keith hit his home run in the 3rd inning. When was the last time he hit one without a mustache?
I'll tell you what, he's going to get a chance to hit another one without a mustache, because he hit that one. I'm sure he's going to keep that thing shaven now.
Keith struck out and homered a 2-run shot to left center field. Fouled away. And the count, strike 2. Now facing the left-hander Mike Mason, with the Mets leading 8-0 here in the top of the 4th inning. They have come roaring back here in the first 3 after dropping the first 2 games of this series. Ball 1, 1 and 2.
He does look funny without that mustache, boy.
Now, I knew Keith back when he was in the minor leagues in the early 70s, and he did not have it then. That's inside 2 and 2. And he looks, without the mustache, almost as young to me as he did then. He's obviously filled out some. And
I thought your ears were what was going. Now it's your eyes, too.
No, it does make him look younger.
Oh, it certainly does.
Fouled away, still 2 and 2.
He certainly felt a lot younger when that ball went out of the ballpark.
Well, you heard him tell Ralph it's something he's been thinking about doing for a while. And he finally said, I guess this is a good time to do it.
Well, last year we had Darryl Strawberry shaving his head. This year we have Hernandez removing his mustache.
3 and 2 as Mason bounces one up there. Keith will be followed by Gary Carter and Kevin McReynolds here in the 4th inning. The Mets have hammered out 10 base hits. The Cubs have but 2 off Dwight Gooden. The fastball fouled back again, still 3 and 2. Hernandez has hit .339 over the last 28 games coming into this game today, and started the day hitting .301. So it wasn't one of those deals where he figured this would help him break out of a slump or something.
Well, he's been slumping a little bit. The last 3 games have not been productive for Keith Hernandez, and goes down again on strikes.
Second time Hernandez has struck out, even though he battled and homered in between. Today's game is being brought to you in part by RC Cola. People go out of their way for the taste of RC. 1 out, nobody on in the 4th inning for Gary Carter, who is 2 for 2. He homered to lead off the 2nd inning, his 6th of the year. Then he singled to center in the 3rd and scored on a 3-run home run by Tim Tuffle. Ball 1 is low. So a tough outing for Scott Sanderson, who lasted only 2 1/3 innings. He gave up 8 earned runs on 9 hits. He struck out 4 and did not walk a batter. Ball 2 to Carter. Gary with his hit in the 2nd inning, his home run, extending his hitting streak to 7 games, and he's also hit in 14 of the last 17. 2-0 fastball hit high and deep to center field. Martinez on the run, can't get to it. Dawson will have to pick it up, and Carter limping into second, and I mean obviously in pain. And he's got some extra protection on that foot that you see he's now removing and giving to Bill Robinson, but it's a double for Carter.
Well, he certainly is going the other way well. You see that front shoulder tucked in real well. This ball goes very, very deep. Martinez, valiant effort. Not even close, though. If Gary Carter was healthy, he might have got a triple on this ball, but that toe is hurting. I'm going to watch the toe now. This is a Billy Webb special. Oh, you could see him give a little bit on it when he hit the bag. Now he's coming in slow. The toughest thing to do is to stop when you're running with an injury.
Especially to the toes in the front part of your feet, because all of your weight is jammed in there. Kevin McReynolds takes a fastball for strike 1. And I was talking to Gary before the game. Here you can see Carter at the plate.
He just picks that foot up all the time. Very unusual hitting style, Gary Carter.
McReynolds takes down low, 1-1. Gary was showing me where both of his feet had been hammered, and they have improved a great deal with the rest that he's been able to give them, but they still look nasty.
How can feet look pretty anyway?
That's true. Fastball line to right for a base hit. Carter hobbling around 3rd will score as Dawson throws into 2nd, and it is now 9-0 New York with 1 out in the 4th inning. McReynolds' 2nd hit and his 27th RBI of the year.
Coming into this game, Kevin McReynolds only had 2 hits in his last 24 at-bats. One of the things he was doing, as Gary Carter did earlier in the year, he was coming off the ball a lot. That time you saw him move the ball toward right field. Gary Carter giving it his best effort and scores on this ball. It gets underway. As he hits this base. Now somebody's going to help him behind the plate. He knows he's in there. That slowing down always gets you, as Steve explained very well.
Howard Johnson 1 for 2, single to right and scored in the 3rd. He also scored on Tuffle's home run. So Hojo batting with McReynolds at first and 1 out, and another run in. Mets went out in order in the 1st inning against Sanderson, but they scored 3 in the 2nd, 5 in the 3rd, and have added 1 here in the 4th. And another big cut by Johnson. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
In a game like this, as a hitter, some hitters say, well, I've already got something going. I'll go for the big one. I used to always say, I'm going to keep going. I'm just going to be a good hitter. I want to get another hit. You know, the home runs come when you're driving the ball in the gaps. You stand on top of the ball.
Well, that's really true. And a guy like Pete Rose, although Pete certainly was not a home run hitter, I guess I should say is not a home run hitter since he hasn't officially retired yet. Pete was the epitome of that. He wanted that 3rd hit, then he really wanted that 4th hit if he got that far in a ball game. Some guys, however, are satisfied when they get 2. They really ease up.
They're crazy.
2 balls, 1 strike with McReynolds, as you see, not being held by Leon Durham. Fastball ripped and right into the glove of Moreland. McReynolds called out, even though it appeared that he was back in time. Benedemuth punches him out for a double play, so Johnson lines into the double play to end the inning, but the Mets get one as we look at it again.
Certainly a nice play by Moreland, and he makes a decent throw. McReynolds coming back. If he slides here, he's definitely going to be called safe. He kind of jumped at it. He looks out right there, Steve.
He does. I was wrong.
If you come back in hard sliding or come back in hard diving, I think he gets the play.
So after 3.5, 9-0 New York, and we're back after this for R.C. Cola. The Mets are all over the Cubs here at Wrigley today. Behind the doctor, they're giving him an outstanding offensive game of support as the Mets lead at 9-0. And Andre Dawson will lead off the fourth inning for Chicago as the Mets added one more run in the top half of the fourth. Dawson ended the first by grounding out to short. 0 for 1. Breaking ball hits the outside part of the plate. Strike one.
As I believe Ralph pointed out, Steve, Dawson, lifetime against Gooden's, a .308 hitter going into this game. It's very unusual for a right-handed hitter to have that kind of success against Dwight Gooden.
Well, you look at one of the better right-handed hitters around, too. Chased a fastball that was out of the strike zone. 0-2.
This ball almost looks like it's cut. Moves away a little bit from Andre Dawson. Big swing, no contact. Look at his eyes. Look at those eyes. Is that intensity?
1 ball, 2 strikes. Dawson, through last season, had a career average here at Wrigley of .346. No wonder he wanted to play here. This year he's hitting .345. So he's right on the same average. Fouls this pitch off, and that was a tough pitch. 1-2. Dawson in the last 9 games, 6 homers, 17 RBIs in 9 games. And of course he leads the league with 58 runs batted in starting play today. Curveball grounded to third, behind the bag, and a long throw for Hojo, not in time. It skips under Hernandez's glove, but Tuffle backing up. Dawson unable to advance. And it's an infield base hit.
King, it's a high curveball. Dawson a little bit out front, makes some contact, gets it in a great location. Howard Johnson got a long throw to make. Would have been an outstanding play by Howard Johnson had he been able to throw out the speedy Andre Dawson. He's coming in. I don't know if he's hurt or whether they just decided to give him an opportunity to rest with the Cubs down this far. But he's certainly out of the ball game.
He doesn't appear to be hurt, and I would have to feel that with a 9-0 New York lead, and Dawson picking up a base hit here, it was a good time to take him out of the ball game, and Brian Dayette will pinch run for him at first and apparently stay in the game in the outfield as well, as the batter now is Leon Durham, who takes a curveball low and inside. Ball 1. Durham flied to deep left center field, a ball that was run down by Len Dykstra opening the second inning. Fastball line for a base hit to left. Dayette will go to second and hold there as McReynolds gets it back in. So the Cubs now with 4 hits off the doctor and 2 on with nobody out on the fourth.
A Nissan scoreboard in the National League. San Francisco has defeated Cincinnati 9-0. The slates tonight: Pittsburgh at Montreal, St. Louis at Philadelphia, Los Angeles in Atlanta, and San Francisco in Houston. In the American League, the White Sox are in Oakland, Toronto at New York, Boston at Baltimore, Cleveland in California, Milwaukee at Detroit, Kansas City in Minnesota, and Texas will be playing in Seattle.
And here's Jody Davis, who flied out to Mookie Wilson in right center field in the second inning. Good breaking ball from the doctor, and it's 1 strike.
That's an unusual game in Cincinnati, a day game on a Wednesday. Must be a special game for San Francisco getting back home, I guess.
Travel day, yeah. Usually that's the case.
They must Cardinals play tomorrow night in San Francisco. That's all I can think.
They could probably play tomorrow afternoon in San Francisco. Good fastball. Boy, an outstanding rising up and in fastball after the breaking ball down and away.
Well, I couldn't have said it better, Steve. Just beats him.
Dwight has struck out just 2 and allowed just 4 hits, but he has 2 on and nobody out here in the 4th. That fastball line foul into the stands down the right field line, so it's still 0-2. Jody Davis is 0 for 9 in this series. But for his career, and I guess really for Dwight's career, since Davis has been around just a little bit longer, Jody Davis hitting .273 against the Doctor, and that's not too bad.
No, and you saw a power hitter right there try to make contact. We talked about this earlier in the game. He had 2 strikes. It was a tough pitch. He did not take a big swing. He tried to make some contact on that ball. Fouled off a tough pitch.
Still no balls, 2 strikes. Oh, baby.
And that swing there was also, he cut down on that stroke. He still got beat. The Doctor's blowing today, folks. He gets this right where he wants it, right in Gary Carter's glove.
That was just overpowering power. Blows Jody Davis away. He's 0 for 2, 1 out now in the 4th. And here's Keith Moreland, who hit a sharp 1-hopper back to Gooden that Dwight made a very good play on to throw him out to end the 2nd inning. Just misses outside, ball 1.
Moreland has been almost as hot as Andre Dawson over this last 8 games. He's got 6 home runs and 18 RBIs himself.
His slugging percentage over those games, .973.
That's awesome.
He's really had some power numbers. Goes after a high fastball and fouls it off, and that catches another piece of Carter. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Cubs are probably nearing their 60th game, so you can imagine the poor start Keith Moreland had.
Well, he's only hitting .242 coming into the game today, and he was telling me in the clubhouse before the game that even with the hot stretch he's had recently, he still feels very inconsistent. He still feels like he has some at-bats where the ball looks like a balloon, and other times when he just has no idea.
Why should he be any different?
That's what hitting's all about. Another good fastball fouled off the other way. 1 ball, 2 strikes. But he's trying to get more consistent, and that's what any hitter really strives for. That's all you can ask for. Brian Dayette at 2nd, Leon Durham at 1st. 1 out.
This is the 58th game for the Cubs. So that means in the first 50 games, he only hit 3 home runs. That is not Keith Moreland.
No. And especially for a guy playing in this ballpark.
Agreed. But he's certainly coming on strong right now.
Fastball fouled off again. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dwight is showing right here the tendency that he has shown in his first few years in the big leagues, and that is when he does get men on base. He has that ability that the great pitchers seem to have to kick it up a notch or 2. And I'll never forget that night against the Los Angeles Dodgers when the bases were loaded with nobody out, and this expression came over Dwight's face that you could just read, and there was no way anybody was going to get a hit, and he struck out the side.
That was in Los Angeles.
Curveball grounded up the middle. Could be a double play. Tuffle in time to get Moreland, who does not run well, and Dwight pitches out of it. 2 hits but 1 left here in the 4th inning, and we will go to the 5th with the Mets still leading the Cubs here in Chicago 9-0 after this for AT&T. Well, Roger McDowell, the clown prince of the Mets, comes out of the clubhouse runway to show Gary Carter what he looks like. He's got a back brace, a neck brace, he's got a leg wrap, 2 elbow, or rather knee braces on, He's got Carter's warm-up jersey on, carrying a bat and limping.
Roger McDowell, he's one in a million. What a guy.
Gary had a good laugh with him.
He also gave him a shot in the stomach.
Yes.
Which he had padded. It reminds me of that day where they kind of all came out of the dugout with those red wigs and everybody had padded bellies on my wonderful day, as a matter of fact, last year in July when the Mets were so kind as to honor the Big Orange.
It was great. It was great. There's no telling what Roger's going to do. Tim Teufel takes a strike, 1-1. Teufel in the ball game, an infield hit and a 3-run home run. He's 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored and 3 RBIs. Strike 2, 1-2. Teufel has hit in all but 7 of the games he's played this year. And he's out of there. Second strikeout for Mike Mason.
Mason delivering a breaking ball. Good pitch. Teufel over the ball.
Actually, it's a third strikeout for Mason. And 1 out here in the 5th inning. And here's Rafael Santana, who hit a line double to left to drive in a run in the 2nd inning, and then walked in the 3rd. 1 for 1 officially, and he takes a strike. Like Mason might have turned that ball over, and it's 0-2.
What a change in Rafael Santana from the beginning 3 weeks of the season. He had an injury, sat out a while. Davey Johnson moved Howard Johnson in the shortstop. Rafael Santana just came out smoking, won his position back.
Pops this ball up in foul territory behind Ernst Durham there to squeeze it 2 away. Raffy has been hitting the ball with significantly more authority than really all of last year.
In left field, he's hit a lot of balls over the left fielder's head, much less the 2 home runs.
So with 2 out, nobody on, Dwight Gooden will bat, and the doctor picked up not only an RBI with a ground out in the 2nd, but his first hit of the year with an infield base hit in the 3rd. 1 for 2.
Maybe we can have Ralph look up what Ralph is going to end up the year with home run wise, because at this pace he already has 2 home runs. It's a little jibe at Ralph. You all right back there, Ralph?
Well, you can look at it this way as Dwight fouls one off and it counts 1 and 2. A third of the season has gone by, right? So at this pace, Santana will have 6 home runs. Which would be 6 times more than he's had in any other year he's been in the big leagues. Bounced up the middle, but there's that man Dunston again to throw him out, and a 1-2-3 inning for Mason here in the 5th. However, the Mets are rolling along behind the doctor 9-0 over Chicago after 4.5. And we'll return to Wrigley after this for Nissan. Steve Zabriskie and Rusty Staub along with Ralph Kiner back with you at Wrigley today. Our pal Tim McCarver will rejoin us for the series in Pittsburgh. The Mets lead at 9-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning, and the bottom of the order for Chicago, Sean Dunston, who will be followed by Dave Martinez, and then I would have to think a pinch hitter for pitcher Mike Mason. Dunston, his first time up, grounded out to 3rd. The Mets with 9 runs on 11 hits, and the Cubs no runs on 4 hits, and Dwight Gooden again has shown an outstanding breaking ball today as he gets Dunston to miss the off-speed delivery for strike 1. And a good high fastball for strike 2.
The doctor rocks back, lets it fly, just beats Dunston up top. That's what the doctor wants. It's what the doctor ordered for the New York Mets, too.
That's the prescription. Breaking ball fouled off. So Dwight threw a changeup, a high fastball, and now a curveball. And he's still ahead 0-2. Ed Lynch. loosening up for Chicago. Ed and his bride expecting their first child come January. Fouled away, still 0-2. I said the Mets had 11 hits. They actually had 12 through the first 5. Dunston has really improved at the plate as the season has gone along. Back on May 17th, he was hitting 176. He's hit 344 since then. But he's going back to the dugout as Dwight blows him away with the high heater.
Dwight Gooden's 4th strikeout. As we said earlier, at high gas. Dunston.
Tough to catch up with. You're watching Mets Baseball 87. Right here on WWOR TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. 1 out and nobody on in the 5th inning, and the batter Dave Martinez, who popped out to second baseman Tim Tuffle in short center field in the 3rd. Strike 1. Boy, Dwight has really done an outstanding job of getting ahead of almost every single hitter.
We talk about it so often. When you're ahead, so many things are in your favor.
Just inside, 1-1. One of the big things that's in your favor is that element of doubt in the hitter's mind. Fastball lofted and deep to right. Mookie fighting that sun and the wind. Finally found it. Once he found it, it was no problem. Finding it was the problem.
Martinez hit that ball very hard. When you get it way up in the wind here today, it's got to hurt it. The line drives, they actually have seemed to carry. But you get up past a certain level where the wind is blowing, and it's going to really cut the ball down going into right field, right center, and center field.
So with nobody on and 2 out, Mike Mason will again hit. He got a base hit, his first major league hit in the 3rd inning with a single to center.
Gene Michaels, his bullpen got quite a workout against the St. Louis Cardinals. Not a bad workout against the New York Mets.
Strike 2, or strike 1 rather, 1-1.
Trying to give his relievers a little time to regroup. A lot of runs scored in that St. Louis series.
That over the weekend, a series in which the wind was blowing out. And strike 3, or strike 2. A strike behind. I thought the first pitch was a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Mason. As soon as the Mets got here, the weather changed and the wind's been blowing in ever since. Pounded off the plate, foul. Still 1-2. In fact, the wind was still blowing out early Monday morning, but by a couple hours before game time on Monday, it had turned around.
Certainly did.
That fastball just missed. 2-2.
Leon Durham, who had been out for over a week with an injury, was out taking extra batting practice before his start, and he was just knocking them all over the place in right field. Ball was jumping out of this park.
There's strike 3. Dwight has punched out 5 and retires the side in order here in the 5th. 9-0 New York after 5. Now here's a word from Express Mail. The top of the order up for New York in the top half of the 6th inning. Mets leading 9-0 as Len Dykstra, who is the only Met in the lineup without a base hit, 0 for 3, takes a sweeping breaking ball, 0 for ball 1. Lenny has grounded to second and struck out twice, once swinging and once looking. Right back to Mason, who picks it nicely. 1 away. Dykstra now 0 for 4.
Well, the Mets have certainly kept this packed house at Wrigley Field quiet today. Beautiful day. Doesn't seem like there's an empty seat anywhere. Not much excitement for Cub fans, though.
finally had something to cheer about after Dwight had retired the first 8 in order. It was Mike Mason who got his first big league hit and the first hit for the Cubs, and they had a couple of runners on a couple of times, but Dwight has been able to pitch out of it. Mookie Wilson has tripled and scored in 3 trips. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's a really fine pitch he's throwing there, Steve. That looks like it's a screwball. I don't know. There's so many different ways people are throwing pitches. It has that rotation. It breaks down and away and definitely takes something off the ball.
Mookie fouls this one off, 1-2.
You might get that moving with a slip pitch or a palm ball. I don't think that's a split finger.
It's something else that is also going down, however, in the strike zone, or down out of the strike zone. Tried to get him with a fastball on the outside corner. Mookie fouls it off. It's still 1-2. Mason came in the 3rd inning after Tim Tuffle's 3-run home run had chased Scott Sanderson, who lasted only 2 1/3. So Mason has worked 2 2/3 coming into this inning. Off the end of the bat, but foul. So the count remains 1-2. Mookie entering this game as the much celebrated ball girl here. Not Marla Collins, of course, who was fired by the Cubs for posing in a magazine.
Not so much that it was in a magazine. It's how she posed and in what magazine.
Let's just say she failed to wear her entire Cubs uniform. Mookie reaches out and punches one to center field. Martinez has a beat on it. 2 away.
Mike Mason mixing it up very well. A lot of off-speed pitches, working the fastball in. Really keeping the Mets off balance lately.
He struck Keith Hernandez out. Keith's last time up. Keith has struck out twice and hit a 2-run home run to left center field, his 6th of the year in the 3rd inning. Mason has allowed just 1 run on 3 hits since coming into the game. 2 out and nobody on in the 6th inning. The fastball is too tight. Ball 1.
Very unusual year for Keith Hernandez, having struck out 43 times already. I mean, he doesn't strike out 43 times in some seasons.
Strike 1. And Keith, in addition to that, and probably partially because of that number of strikeouts, on a rare occasion do you see him, or do you not see him, among the top 10 in on-base percentage and walks, and he is not in either category right now in the National League.
I have a feeling before the end of the season you will see him there, Steve.
Well, it's something that Keith really has done well consistently over the years, and does take pride in the fact that he has a good eye, knows the strike zone, and does not ordinarily swing at pitches out of the strike zone. And I think the reason he has struck out more often this year is he's been swinging at some bad pitches.
I think he's a little farther away from the strike zone. I think he should be closer to the plate. He's been missing a lot of pitches on the outside part of the plate.
And Davis sets up outside again, but it's low.
Boy, and he's got guts taking that pitch with Frank Pulley behind the dish today, boy.
It's 2-2 now. Looks like Pulley and Hernandez are having a little conversation at the moment. Of course, Frank ran Keith out of the ball game. I mean, it is high and deep into the wind in right field and gone. Another home run for Keith Hernandez on a 2-2 pitch, and into that wind Hernandez drills one. 10-0 New York.
Certainly a big boost to Keith Hernandez. Came into this game in a really rough series. You're going to see Mason gives him a fastball over the heart of the plate. Just an excellent turn by Hernandez, and that's into the teeth of the wind, folks. He crushed that ball. There's one of the Chicago fans.
And a tradition here in Chicago, if an opposing player hits a home run, they throw it back out on the field in disgust. Of course, they fight over it if it's a Cubs home run. Carter hits a fly ball deep to center field, but Martinez has room, and Gary, who had been 3 for 3 with a home run, is finally retired. But Hernandez's second home run of the game and 7th of the season gives the Mets a 10-0 lead after 5 1/2. And we're back after this for Burger King. It's a blowout so far here at Wrigley. Even though the wind is blowing in, the Mets lead 10-0 over Chicago. And the Cubs will have the top of their order up here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Ryne Sandberg to be followed by Jerry Mumphrey, and then Brian Dayette will hit for the first time after pinch running for Andre Dawson back in the 4th. Sandberg has fly deep to right and doubled to left. 1 for 2. And Dwight's off-speed pitch stays high. Ball 1. Sandberg has hit .311 in the last 17 games, and he's scored 18 runs in those 17 games, so he's been on base. Jammed with a fastball, and an easy play for Santana. 1 away.
He is 6th in the league in scoring runs, Steve, and is really right now the key to the Cub offense. When he's hot, it seems like they score a lot of runs.
Well, he must have been on base a lot because Andre Dawson leads the league at RBIs, so that combination has been working quite well. Jerry Mumphrey's bat hasn't been working too well, however, against Dwight today. He's 0 for 2 and has struck out both times, swinging in the 1st, taking to end the 3rd inning. And Mumphrey, who takes strike 1 on a fastball here, entered this game a career 190 hitter against Dwight. And on top of all that, he's 1 for 11 in this series, so he's not going too well right now. Fouls this pitch back, and he's in the hole 0-2. Just missing.
I wonder, with all the injuries that Gary Carter has in such a blowout, if Davey Johnson is going to take a chance and let Barry Lyons finish this game up. It's something to think about.
Cubs have already removed Andre Dawson. Mumphrey fouls off another one, 1-2 still.
Of course, that would leave Davey Johnson in case an injury took place to Barry Lyons, with only Bill Alman to go in behind the plate. That's what this 24-man roster has done, Steve.
Yeah, and Davey doesn't like it either. He has made that quite clear that it really hurts. And I think that went into their thinking in acquiring Bill Alman, was his versatility. That one got Carter. The count's still 1-2 to Mumphrey. Gary was 3 for 3, and he made an out in his 4th at bat.
Gary talking about where that ball got him again. I guess he put 3 fingers up, said that's the 3rd one today.
Gary will be happy as long as they stay off of those toes. Another foul back. Still 1-2. In the shades, just to the right. Well, Bill's right, actually. Screen left of Bill Robinson. Tom Seaver. George Thomas will pitch tomorrow night in Tidewater against the Tides for the Mets in the annual game down there in Virginia. Fastball and a base hit to left field. So a good at bat by Jerry Mumphrey as he hung in there, fouled off quite a few tough pitches, and picks up his first base hit, only the 5th for Chicago.
It certainly was a very good at bat for Jerry Mumphrey. Dwight Gooden, fastball. This one's right over the heart of the plate. He moves him to left field, made good contact, base hit.
Now here's Brian Dayette to bat for the first time, hitting .390 with 4 home runs and 12 RBIs. He pinch ran for Andre Dawson after Dawson got an infield base hit in the 4th. And he takes a fastball over the outside corner for strike 1.
Dayette's been almost unbelievable against left-handed pitching. with 22 hits and 40 at bats, 550. And in his last 19 at bats against all pitching, he's got 10 hits.
Good curveball from the doctor. 0-2.
The doc lays another one of those on him. He's not going to hit that pitch. After a good fastball, pulls the string. Woo.
Well, the bottom just dropped right out of it. So it's 0-2 to Dayette with Mumphrey at first and 1 out. That breaking ball stayed high, 1-2.
That is not where Dwight Gooden wants that pitch. Even though that ball was high, that might have been a pretty good ball to hack at.
That one's high and away, so it's 2-2. The on-deck better for Chicago, Leon Durham. Hernandez playing behind Mumphrey with the Mets leading 10-0. There's that Lord Charles again, and strike 3, 6th strikeout for Dwight Gooden.
Well, this is the 3rd curveball in a row, and this one is an outstanding one. Actually, it's the 4th curveball in a row. Strike 2 was the curve. A couple of high curveballs out of the strike zone. Came back with another one. So Gary Carter working with Dwight Gooden on the breaking ball a lot today.
And it's working nicely. Thank you. Now Leon Durham with 2 out and Mumphrey at first. Durham 1 for 2. And another curveball misses low and away, ball 1. Durham singled to left his last time up after flying to deep left center in the 2nd. Fastball fouled back off the trademark. 1-1. Durham's hitting .400 in this series, 4 for 10, and he's hitting .341 over his last 34 games. So he too, after a slow start, has come on strong. His average over 300 now in the season.
And his bat certainly is important, not only for the Cubs, but to protect Andre Dawson. He was out for a week. It didn't seem to slow Dawson down much, though.
What a year. Boy, that fastball just ate him up, and I think broke his bat.
You could hear it from up here. That's a shattered bat right now. Souvenir for a fan or firewood. That's all that's left of that one.
This is Kitchen City right here.
Boom.
So the Bull will have to get a new piece of wood with the count 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And boy, that is a brand new piece of wood.
In the Cubs clubhouse, they have a rather large bone that has been mounted on a piece of plywood that they put on a table in the middle of the clubhouse. And I don't know what kind of bone it is, but it might have come from a dinosaur. I mean, it is huge. And the Cubs take their bats and rub them on this bone their bats in order to harden them when they're new. And Moreland and Durham were doing that very thing, and that looks like the bat that Durham was working on today. It is spanking new. And he gets a base. No, Hernandez with a good play as the ball went into the hole. So did Keith, and gets the force play to end the inning and takes a base hit away from Leon Durham. So after 6, the doctor and the Mets on a roll, 10-0 over Chicago. Rusty says so long, and Ralph will be back in after this for Budweiser. Kansas copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WWOR-TV and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WWOR-TV is prohibited. Kevin McReynolds leads off here in the 7th for New York, and back in to call it, here's Ralph Kiner.
Okay, and Kevin McReynolds gets the first pitch, and it's a called strike. And that ball hit down by the first baseman and out into right field. McReynolds making the go for second base. The throw just a shade offline, and McReynolds comes up with a 2-base hit. That's his 3rd hit of the ball game and his 2nd double.
A 2-strike pitch over the outside part of the plate, and Kevin McReynolds, as Rusty Staub said earlier, as with Gary Carter, showing a lot more patience and a lot more tendency to go the other way and up the middle lately. Consequently, he and Carter each with 3 hits in this ball game.
So the Mets with a runner in scoring position as they pick up their 14th hit of the ball game, and the batter will be Howard Johnson. Howard 1 for 3 today, and Mike Mason, who came in the ball game back in the 3rd, still in, and he fires his first pitch for ball 1. And we have Jim Sundberg now catching for the Cubs. Sundberg coming over from Kansas City and now doing the catching for Chicago. Veteran American League catcher. And the pitch back, a changeup, 2 balls, no strikes. In the American League, Sundberg batted .250 lifetime with 83 home runs in 13 years.
That can drive the writers crazy. Sundberg and Sandberg on the same team.
Boy. And this ball swung on and fouled, and it's out of play.
You type one wrong letter and you got the wrong guy in the lineup.
You got a catcher playing second base or a second baseman catching.
I'll guarantee you Rhino would have no part of that deal.
Howard Johnson with 5 hits in this series, 5 for 9, 2 of them home runs. And the Mets busting loose here in this ball game after losing the first 2 games, 2 very tough losses, as the Cubs won both games in their last at bat. And the 2-1 pitch way out, 3-1. Mets with 4 home runs in this game. They had 3 in yesterday's ball game, and they now have 70 on the year. Cubs lead the National League in home runs with 84. And that ball drilled in the left center field by Howard Johnson. Kevin McReynolds holding on the drive, figuring it might be caught by Dunston, and then moving over to third. So another well-hit ball. And Johnson now with his 6th hit of this 3-game series.
This ball is so well hit, not only does McReynolds have to hold, and this is a good play on Kevin's part, because if Dunston comes up with this ball, it's a double play. So he cannot score. But not only is it that well hit, it's so well hit that even with Howard Johnson's speed, he's held to a single because the ball got to the outfielders in one great hurry.
And that brings up Tim Teufel, who has had his 2nd home run in this series. He takes a fastball for a strike. Teufel 2 for 3.
The Mets now with 15 hits on the day, and that is their season high here in 1987.
And Eddie Lynch throwing in the bullpen for Chicago. Teufel takes a fastball to count 1-1. Teufel with a 2-run home run yesterday, and a 2-run, make it a 3-run home run here today. Good blocking the ball by Sundberg. And the runners have to hold. Sundberg played only 1 year in the minor leagues before going to the major leagues. Mike Mason with a record of 2-1, working in relief of Scott Sanderson, the pitcher of record on the losing side. Sanderson came into the game with a 3-2 record. And that breaking ball pulled foul. 2-2 the count. Teufel having to take over at second base with Wally Backman out. And the Mets are debating whether to put Backman on the disabled list. They'll make that decision tomorrow. Out with a pulled hamstring muscle. And that ball way over the head of Sundberg. It bounces back onto the playing field, and McReynolds unable to move up. Johnson goes down to second base on the wild pitch. So now the Mets with runners at second and third.
Well, it looked like Sundberg's crossed up here. He's looking for the ball down and in, and that just didn't break. Now here's a play where a catcher misses the ball coming and going. He missed the ball going back. It ricocheted so hard off the bricks back there that Sundberg missed it coming back the other way, but because it ricocheted back so quickly, there was no chance for McReynolds to come home.
That reminds me of a great true story about Smead Jolly, an outfielder for the Cincinnati Reds. There's a swing and a foul ball. In Cincinnati, in the old ballpark at Crosley Field, they had an incline that went up in the outfield area to the fence. And Smead Jolly had all kinds of problems playing the ball that went over his head going up that incline. So they practiced with him over and over again. He finally got it down pretty well. The next time it happened, he went up all right, but the ball eluded him, and he missed it coming down. So he missed it going up and coming down.
Well, Sundberg just missed that one going by and coming back.
3-2, the count to Tim Teufel. And a ground ball to the second baseman, Sandberg. And he picks up the out as the runner's hold. So Teufel loses an opportunity to add on a couple of RBIs. He has had 4, tying his career high. Runners have to hold on the ground out, and that'll bring up Rafael Santana. And out there, the left-hander is Drew Hall. Eddie Lynch standing by, has been throwing. Santana with a double his first time up, driving in a run back in the second inning. And the fastball fouled off of Santana's foot.
I tell you, the dogs are barking all over the place. Teufel just fouled one off his foot. Now this one biting in on Santana, and Raffy hit that maybe off his knee.
Sort of like Stephen Wright's joke about his dog that he named Stay. Come here, Stay. Foul that ball off of that knee. He's not going anywhere.
Sam Perlazzo down to talk to him, and trainer Steve Garland now out. It appeared to hit Raffy right smack on the joint, too.
Santana has had a hot bat in his last 28 games. He has batted over .320. And he's hit the ball with good authority. His double in the second inning to drive in the Mets' second run was a bullet.
Line drive over Mumphrey's head in left field.
Mumphrey misjudged it, but I don't know if he could have caught it anyway. There's a drive into left field for 2 more RBIs. McReynolds scores from third, Johnson from second, and Santana now with 3 RBIs on a 2-for-3 day.
Well, Rafael Santana may show up pretty soon on the cover of a Wheaties box or something. I mean, he's just unbelievable the last month or so. Started driving in runs in addition to hitting the ball with authority. And one thing that Raffy really did not do last year was produce very many RBIs.
He's had 3 RBIs in this ball game. He now has 14 on the year, and Stick Michael is going to bring in Eddie Lynch. So the Mets getting 2 more runs. They are now leading by a score of 12-0. And Mike Mason leaving the ball game. So while Lynch comes in to take his warm-up pitches, here's a word from Dodge.
Eddie Lynch making his 22nd appearance, 1-5 with 3 saves and a 4.83 ERA.
And the first pitch to Dwight Gooden is fouled away, strike 1. Gooden with an infield base hit in the third, picking up his first hit of the year. He's 1 for 3. Overall, he's 1 for 6 on the year. This is his second game start. And the slider up high in the count, 1-1. Dwight got his first RBI his first time up when he grounded out. He hits this one hard down to Moreland, who will turn it. He will not turn it as the ball is dropped by Sandberg at second base. And all hands are safe as the Cubs had an easy double play set up.
Well, they're going to charge the error to Moreland at third base on the throw to Sandberg. So today it's the Cubs that aren't playing well after the Mets have not been playing well the first two games of this series.
That should never have been an error on the third base.
Well, they just changed it. Now they say E4. So they had an opportunity, I guess, to look at the replay. And it is an error on Sandberg.
And now this ball hit out to deep left center field by Dykstra. And hustling back to second base is Santana. So Dykstra having a tough day. He is now 0 for 5 as he hits this ball well, but not coming up with anything. Dykstra, the only man in the batting order not to have a base hit. That brings up Mookie Wilson. Mookie tripled in the third, is 1 for 4. And the first pitch, ball 1. Mookie now with 5 3-base hits. And a swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. The 5 triples ties him with Barry Bonds and Juan Samuel of the Pittsburgh Pirates and Philadelphia Phillies for the National League lead. And he fouls off a fastball. 1-2 the count. Eddie Lynch now pitching for the Cubs. Had his best year for the Mets back in '85 when he was 10-8. And strike 3. So Mookie goes down on strikes. That ends the inning. The Mets get 2 runs on 3 hits. There was 1 error and 2 men were left on base. The score at the end of 6.5 innings. The Mets 12, the Cubs nothing. Now here's a word from Ivory.
Hitting home runs is the fun part of my job. Catching is the tough part, the sweaty part. But you won't catch me showering with deodorant soap. I made a break from all that. A clean break with Ivory. Look, that's basic, natural, honest soap. Not like soaps that cover you with smelly perfumes or deodorant. What's that got to do with clean? Ivory's clean is an honest clean. You can smell it, you can feel it.
Make a clean break, because you just can't beat Ivory's Honest Clean.
Even when you got a special date.
Daddy! Nobody does it like the Daily News. Nobody knows it like the Daily News.
Nobody knows it, nobody shows it, nobody tells it like the Daily News.
New York's hometown paper.
The venerable Harry Carey leading the crowd and take me out to the ball game here in the 7th inning. There he is. Okay, Harry. Great to see Harry back. And we want to remind you also that coming up when the Philadelphia Phillies come to Shea Stadium to take on the Mets Saturday, June 20th at 7:05 p.m., it'll be Cons Meets Kids Jersey Night, as all fans 14 and under will receive a replica jersey just like this one right here, courtesy of Cons Meets. Tickets are available at all Ticketron outlets, Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or you can call 718-507-TIXX during regular business hours for ticket information. And let's see you at Shea on Saturday night, June 20th at 7 when the Mets take on the Phillies for Cons Meets Kids Jersey Night.
And fans, don't miss out on all the exciting action of Mets baseball with your subscription to Inside Pitch. The Mets official newspaper for $15.95. You get 12 monthly issues, complete with feature articles on the players, inside information on the ball club, clubhouse clippings, plus much, much more. So call now, toll free 1-800-421-7751 to order your subscription to Inside Pitch, or send check or money order to New York Mets Inside Pitch, Post Office Box 2331, 2331, Durham, North Carolina 27702, or stop by your local newspaper stand today. Well, Jody Davis to lead it off for the Cubs. The Mets leading by a score of 12-0. Shouldn't say Jody Davis. It's Sundberg leading off for the Cubs. His first appearance ever against the New York Mets, and he takes high for ball 2. Sundberg hitting .235, 8 hits, as Ernest Hemingway has joined us here at Wrigley Field. Or a facsimile of
Bill Webb, ever on the alert for those literary types.
And it's 3-0 as Gooden, who has not walked a batter, falls behind 3 balls, no strikes. Dwight has struck out 6 in working his 6 innings. His first time out, he went 6 2/3 innings, and he gets a strike call there. One of the perennial visitors here at Wrigley Field in his great days as a singer, Nat King Cole, used to sit right there by the on-deck circle. That pitch fouled off, so it's 3-2. One thing about striking out in this ballpark, you really can get it from the fans in the stands.
They are nearby, aren't they?
They are close. And the 3-2 pitch fouled back, so the count will stay at 3 balls and 2 strikes. The old ballparks, of course, built only for baseball. And parks such as Wrigley Field, Taggart Stadium,
Fenway
Park, Comiskey Park, all right on top of it. And strike 3, so Gooden gets his 7th strikeout as he faces Jim Sundberg.
And Dwight coming back from a 3-ball, no-strike count to strike Sundberg out. So Sundberg gets his first introduction, his first appointment with the doctor.
He'll get a chance to come back for another office call sometime later.
That's correct.
Now Keith Moreland, 0 for 2, and this ball hit down the right field line, the wind curving the ball foul into the stands. Moreland is 0 for 2. Grounded back to Gooden his first time up, and grounded into a double play his 4th. Cubs have had only one serious threat. In the 4th inning, they had runners at first and second with no one out when Davis came up and struck out. And then Moreland hit into a double play. And that pitch, a ball, 1 strike. And the fastball just a shade low, 2-1. This one hit off the end of the bat foul, so it's 2-2. Well, San Francisco, after losing a terrible game to the Cincinnati Reds in their first meeting in Cincinnati, bouncing back to win 2 in a row. And San Francisco now just a game behind Cincinnati, winning the day by a score of 9-4. And the big curveball gets him. 8th strikeout for Dwight Gooden. That's about as bad as I've seen Moreland look on a curveball.
Moreland, ordinarily an outstanding 2-strike hitter, does not let himself ordinarily fly open like this. He was really fooled, and you won't see that very often, but that too is indicative of the kind of pitching that Dwight Gooden has been able to come up with in just his 2nd start after coming back and missing the first 2 months of the season.
And that brings up Sean Dunston, who has struck out and grounded out. And the first pitch, ball 1. Dunston coming into this game 2 for 16 against Dwight Gooden, so he's now 2 for 18. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Carter down there catching with a shield on that left foot.
Frank Pulley needed some kind of a shield here himself. This ball caught a piece of his shoulder. Now the umpires do wear protective gear. You can see that shoulder pad underneath his shirt, but it's minimal.
In the first game of this series, Billy Williams got hit twice. 1 time on the left elbow, 1 time on the right, and he had to leave the ball game.
They took Billy to the hospital for precautionary x-rays. The second one was so bad. There's Billy umpiring second base today, but fortunately he was all right.
Pulley, of course, ejected Keith Hernandez from one of the games in this series. This ball hit deep to left. If it's fair, it's gone. It is gone. Goodbye. John Dunston with his second home run of this series and his first home run ever off of Dwight Gooden, and Gooden loses a shutout.
That is the first home run that Dwight Gooden has given up since coming back this season. And this is a breaking ball that stays up there quite nicely, thank you, says Sean Dunston. Dunston all over it to the point where he almost pulled it foul. It went around the pole and bounced back in, and Dwight extricating his gum after watching that home run go out of here.
So Dunston with his 5th home run of the year. And now the Cubs on the scoreboard. It's 12-1. The next batter is Dave Martinez, and he hits a fly ball to left center, and that is tracked down by Lenny Dykstra. So 1 run on the home run, no one left on base. The score at the end of 7. The Mets 12 and the Cubs 1. Now here's a word from manufacturers Hanover. Who's that? Well, we're going now to the top of the 8th inning. The Mets leading by a score of 12-1. And Dwight Gooden talking to his catcher Gary Carter after giving up that home run to Sean Dunston. First home run given up by Gooden this year. Paid attendance here today, 35,190, the biggest crowd of this 3-game series. And of course, it was featured with Dwight Gooden on the mound for the Mets. So Gooden packing him in here in Chicago in his first appearance this year. Gooden came into this game with a lifetime record against the Cubs of 10-2, on his way to 11-2. On his way to his 9th straight win decision over the Cubs. And the first batter, Keith Hernandez, and Keith flies out to center field on the first pitch. Bob Denier is the center fielder now, with Martinez out of the ball game. Actually, Martinez moving over to left field to replace Jerry Mumphrey. And also in the ball game, Noyce, N-O-C-E, at second base, replacing Sandberg. Now the batter will be Gary Carter. Hernandez with 2 home runs in this game, the second time in his career he's ever hit 2 in one game. First time he was with the Cardinals against the Mets back in 1980. So Keith coming back from an 0 for 8 in the first 2 games, 2 for 4 in this game. Carter with a home run in the second. He has a game-winning RBI. He also has a single and a double, so he is 3 for 4. Batting against Ed Lynch for the first time in the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. And that pitch outside, 2 balls and a strike. And the slider hit over the head of Noyce and into right field for a base hit. So Carter now with his 4th hit. First hit given up by Eddie Lynch.
And again, Gary Carter going the other way, trying to stay in there. This pitch on the outside part of the plate at the knees and breaking away from him. And here's Carter's back foot. Again, he picks up that back foot and almost, in doing so, jams those sore toes back into the ground. But again, Gary not trying to pull the ball and getting another base hit.
Carter came into this game with a 6-game hitting streak. Obviously has moved it to 7, and that will bring up Kevin McReynolds, who's had 3 hits and 4 times up. And Lynch with a breaking ball gets a swinging strike. 17th hit for the Mets. And Kevin McReynolds has 3 of them. Breaking ball again, 1 ball, 1 strike. ball, 2 balls, 1 strike. Ed Lynch started the season as a starting pitcher, but has been relegated to the bullpen with a record of 1-5, and that ball off of his glove and off to the third base side, and that'll go as a base hit as McReynolds now has 4 hits. So Carter and McReynolds with 8 hits between them, each coming up with 4.
Well, we've talked in telecasts recently about the inability of the middle of the Mets order to produce, particularly whoever happens to be batting 4th. Well, the 4th and 5th hitters today have 8 hits, so you can see why the Mets have 12 runs today.
Mets 12-1 over Chicago, and the batter will be Howard Johnson. Howard 2 for 4 today, and that's ball 1. Mets with a 3-game losing streak. And the strike call, 1-1. One ball, 1 strike. The count is even, and this one a high pop up into shallow center field. Coming up in the ball is Denier, and he makes the catch. So the runners hold. Carter at second, McReynolds at first. 2 men away, and the batter will be Tim Teufel. Teufel with a single and a home run and 4 at bats. Teufel's home run is 3rd of the year, and he has had 2 in this series. And the breaking ball outside for ball 1. A strike call by Frank Pulley, and it's 1-1. Ed Lynch started his major league career with Texas, then came to the Mets. Now a Cubby. And a breaking ball for a ball. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Runners at first and second, 2 men away. Mets leading 12-1. Top of the 8th inning. And the pitch back, a ball. It's 3 balls and 1 strike. And ball 4, and that'll load him up. That is only the 2nd walk that the Mets have had in this game. And it loads up the bases for Rafael Santana. Santana with 3 runs batted in. Has had a single and a double. He also has walked. And a good slider for a called strike.
Eddie Lynch has to be fine in that fashion, nipping the corners and keeping the ball off the fat part of the plate, because he doesn't have overpowering stuff.
And he misses with his next delivery, so the Cub 1-1. Misses again, 2-1 with the breaking ball. That pitch close. Now Ed Lynch wants to get together with his catcher Sundberg.
In all that has happened in this ball game, with New York pounding out, what, 17 hits now? At least.
18.
18 hits. The Mets have only left 5 men on base in this game so far.
And Santana fouls it down the right side, 2-2. Left 1 back in the 2nd.
when they got 3. Left 2 in the 3rd when they got 5. And they left 2 in the 7th when they got 2. And it's fouled back out of play. So the count will stay at 2-2. The third pitcher used by Gene Michael. And again, the ball is fouled. The count remains 2 balls and 2 strikes. Sanderson worked 2 in the 3rd, was charged with 8 runs, gave up 9 hits. And Mike Mason worked 4 innings, gave up 4 runs and 7 hits. And now Ed Lynch working with the bases full with 2 men out and a 2-2 count on Santana. That one is ball 3 and now full count. The runners will be moving with the pitch. Lynch working from the set position. The runners go and the ball is swung on and popped up into shallow right field. And the catch is made, and that'll end the inning. So 2 hits and a walk and 3 men left on base, and the score at the end of 7.5 innings. The Mets 12, the Cubs 1. Now here's a word from New Jersey Bell. Gary Carter has moved from the catching position to first base with Keith Hernandez out of the ball game, and Barry Lyons has taken over the catching duties as Dwight Gooden gets set to work the bottom half of the 8th. The Mets leading by a score of 12-1, and back in for the play-by-play, Steve Zabriskie.
Well, there's the Corn Belt chapter of the Bill Webb Fan Club, and I can't tell you how appropriate that is.
Corn is all right there.
Boy, you got it. Gary Matthews pinch hitting and leading it off here for Chicago. Fouls the first fastball from Gooden back for strike 1. Gary has not been up other than as a pinch hitter this year. He is 8 for 24. 333 with 6 RBIs. He has not hit a home run. Baby. Breezed him one time. That ball just got away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Matthews batting for Ed Lynch.
Ooh.
And another Lord Charles from the doctor.
Oh, that's devastating, that one.
This ought to be illegal.
This is some sort of curveball right here. Look at the break in that thing. Dwight never threw curveballs like that last year.
Well, he's doing it again this year, and he strikes out Matthews with 2 unbelievable benders.
And that is his 9th strikeout in this ball game. Is on his way to a 10 strikeout game. Nolan Ryan the other day had a 10 strikeout game, his 166th.
Isn't that amazing?
Unbelievable.
Unreal. Bob Dernier, batting for the first time, has taken over the leadoff spot in the batting order after moving into center field, and he takes a fastball high for ball 1. Dernier hitting .357 with 3 homers and 10 RBIs. And he pops this one up, and it could be playable. Carter calling for it in foul territory and fights the wind and makes out number 2. Jerry Hall, Drew Hall warming up. He was up earlier with Lynch, so he will apparently be the next pitcher, as Lynch was pinch hit for by Gary Matthews. Paul Noche batting for the first time, hitting .286, no homers, no RBIs. Went in to play second base for Ryan Sandberg. 2 out and nobody on here in the 8th inning. And Noche takes high ball 1. Swing and a miss, 1-1. Noche played in Iowa in the American Association. Last year he hit .200. After hitting .307 at Pittsfield in Double-A. Another fastball, and Noche appears to be somewhat overmatched with that heater. 1-2. Just outside. 2-2. Dwight does not appear to be losing anything as we are in the 8th inning. And he is still blowing gas up there and breaking off outstanding curveball.
He has not pitched this long this year.
He's run the count full now to Noche with 2 out and nobody on. And a fastball ripped for a base hit into left center field. McReynolds will chase it all the way to the ivy. Noche runs well, and he's rounding second, but holding there with a double. Noche looking for that fastball with a 3-2 count, was ready for it.
Well, his third hit has been called up by the Cubs. Noche now 3 for 8. And that is his first extra base hit since coming up.
You're watching Mets baseball 87 on WWOR-TV, Secaucus, New Jersey. Here's Brian Dayette now with Noche at second and 2 down. Dayette struck out his first time up in the 6th inning after replacing Andre Dawson as a pinch runner back in the 4th. And he takes ball 1. Dayette hitting now at .383 on the year. And Gene Michael has really used his outfielders, especially in left field with Mumphrey and Dayette platooning very well. Also using Dernier along with Martinez. This ball hit very well into right center. Dykstra can't catch up with it. Noche scores. Dernier, or rather Dayette, going to third, and he will make it with a triple. Paul Noche scores the 2nd run of the game for Chicago.
Well, Dayette takes his high outside fastball and hits it in the gap in left center field. This will be his first 3-base hit as he drives in a run. It is his 13th RBI. And now the Cubs have their 2nd run of the ball game, and the Mets lead by a score of 12-2.
Pardon me, Rob. Doug Sisk begins to loosen up for New York. As the batter is Leon Durham, who's 1 for 3. Breaking ball in the dirt, and a good stop by Carter with Dayette, or rather Lyons with Dayette at third. Carter now at first. And Mel Stottlemyre now out of the dugout asking for time, and he, Lyons, and Carter will all go to the mound with Dwight.
While we got a second, I'd like to pass on the writings of Jerry Holtzman, the fine writer for the Chicago Tribune, about Frank Pulley. And he is quoting Hernandez by saying, "I didn't swear at him when Hernandez was ejected from the ballgame." Hernandez said, the umpires, wear the blue, they can play God. Pulley insisted that he isn't God, but that if he were, he'd make 3 changes: speed up the games, make everybody perfect, and increase the salaries of the umpires. Pulley chuckled when Aviza Johnson said he contributed to the Mets' loss the other day. And Pulley said, "I guess I was a guy who got picked off second base." Pulley said, "And it was not me, and it was me, not Manny Trillo, who hit that 2-run home run." Pulley then showered, dressed, adjusted his halo, and left the ballpark.
Jerome Holtzman, one of the great columnists, and has worked here in Chicago for many, many years. Sort of capturing the essence of the situation, I think. That breaking ball in there from Dwight. 2 balls, 1 strike.
All right, here, Dwight Gooden with that Lord Charles, and it breaks right through the strike zone, and the strike call.
Fastball just does miss, so it's 3-1 to Durham. Brian Dayette, the runner at third. 2 out here in the 8th inning. And a run in for Chicago to make it 12-2 New York. Fastball fouled away, and it's 3-2. Durham had a single to left in the 4th inning. He's also flied deep to left center and reached on a fielder's choice, forcing Mumphrey at second base. And he chases a breaking ball in the dirt, and the inning is over. Strikeout number 10 for Dwight Gooden in 8 innings of work here in Chicago. 1 run on 2 hits for the Cubs, but the Mets lead 12-2, and we'll go to the 9th inning after this for McDonald's.
Well, a new pitcher in the ball game. It is Drew Hall. He comes in with no record, no wins, no losses, no saves. An earned run average of 2.45. This is his 5th game. He has worked 7 in the 3rd inning. He's given up 5 hits, 1 of them a home run. Walking 6 and striking out 5. Drew Hall now pitching for the Cubs.
And the first hitter he will face for the Mets, Bill Allman, who will pinch hit for Dwight Gooden. So the doctor out of there after 8 very strong innings of work. Allman hitting .182, no homers, 2 RBIs, 2 for 7 as a pinch hitter. But those pinch hit appearances came as a Pittsburgh Pirate prior to his trade when the Mets acquired him for Al Pedrique and a minor leaguer. Len Dykstra and Mookie Wilson scheduled to follow here in the 9th inning for New York as the Mets lead at 12-2. So Dwight goes 8, charged with 2 earned runs. He struck out 10, gave up 8 hits, and did not walk a batter.
So Dwight in 14 2/3 innings has struck out 15 batters. That's that strikeout per 9 inning ratio.
Fastball right in there. Drew Hall having a little problem with the mound, as there have been a couple of right-handers out there for a while, and he's landing in a little different spot than they were, so he's had to adjust it. 3 balls, 1 strike. Ball 4. So Allman draws the leadoff walk, pinch hitting for Gooden here in the 9th inning, and that'll bring up Len Dykstra. Lenny is the only hitter in the lineup, other than of course pinch hitter Bill Allman, without a base hit. He is 0 for 5. He finally hit the ball well his last time up, but it was tracked down in left center field, and he swings and misses here. That's the way Lenny's going today. He's 0 for 5, and then they bring in a left-hander to face him his last time up. No justice. 1-1.
Mets with 18 base hits in this game.
Fouled away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dykstra, except for his 0 for 5 today, coming into today, had increased his average 56 points since April 22nd. He started the day hitting .318. It's another fastball and fouls it back against the screen. Still 1-2.
That's not nearly as well as Randy Myers did. Randy Myers got a base hit the other day and increased his average 500 points.
Right. Went from nothing
to 500.
But Lenny's had a few more at bats than Randy Myers. Off-speed pitch grounded to first. Durham will try to go to second. He couldn't get the ball out of his glove, apparently. And then he had to hustle to the bag to get Dykstra, who was busting it down the line.
Well, Lenny Dykstra now 0 for 6 in this game, but hustling all the way, and he almost beat it out. Durham looking for the pitcher to cover. He wasn't there, so he had to do it himself. And here's Lenny coming out of the box, trying to stay out of the double play. They couldn't get the lead runner, so they finally did pick him up for the out. Good job of hustling by Lenny.
If they had been able to get Allman, there's no way they would have been able to double him up anyway. So Allman at second with 1 out for Mookie Wilson. And Mookie laces one into the left field for a base hit. Allman rounding third. And here comes the throw to the plate. And Allman scores, and on the throw, Mookie goes down to second base, so it's 13-2 New York. And Mookie Wilson drives in a run, his 16th of the year.
This is a strong throw by the left fielder, Martinez. He really put something on this throw. It sort of handcuffed Sundberg. If it had been just a little more to the left, Allman would have been out. Allman churning around the bases, and the throw was really well thrown, but unable to be handled by Sundberg. Mookie going to second on the throw home.
And here's Barry Lyons batting for the first time, hitting .234 with 2 homers and 3 RBIs. Barry coming into the game last inning when Gary Carter moved from behind the plate to first base. Two balls, no strikes. Barry batting in Keith Hernandez's spot. Hernandez 2 for 5, 2 home runs. And the first time Keith has hit 2 home runs since 1980 when he did it as a Cardinal against the Mets. 2 balls, 1 strike to Lyons.
Lyons has appeared in all 3 games of this series. Was 2 for 4 in the first game, 1 for 4 in the second.
Fouls another one back, and it's 2-2. Mookie Wilson at second base. A run in and 1 out here in the 9th inning. Tied him up, but he did not swing, and the pitch was inside, so it's 3-2. Drew Hall, the 4th pitcher of the afternoon, used by the Cubs. And with the score as it is, Cubs are lucky they've only had to use 4. The Mets jumped out to a huge lead early off Scott Sanderson. Fly ball into right field. Dayette coming hard, but it is the second baseman Paul Noche who makes a good play going away. And I don't think Dayette saw that ball right away. He appeared to break back, and he's looking directly into the sun. So Noche made a saving play.
Well, it's a nice play, Noche.
Gary Carter now with Wilson at second and 2 away, and what an afternoon for Gary Carter. He is 4 for 5, a home run, a double, 2 singles. He has driven in a run. He has scored 3 of the 4 times he's been on base. And he takes the strike.
Carter's had 12 hits in his last 28 times up, and a good sign of coming out of that prolonged slump.
Gets a fastball and drives it high to center field. Dernier making an adjustment as the wind held it up, and the inning is over. But the Mets pick up a run on a hit and a walk, and we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. The Mets have a baker's dozen. 13-2 they lead the Cubs, and we're back after this for Lincoln Mercury.
Doug Sis, the new pitcher for the Mets, with a record of 1 win, 1 loss, and 2 saves. He has an earned run average of 3.94. His 23rd game. He has worked 29 2/3 innings, giving up 34 hits, 3 of them home runs. He has struck out 9 and walked 9. And Doug appearing in this series for the 2nd time. He was the losing pitcher in the first game of the series when Manny Trillo homered off of him in the 9th inning with 2 men out.
And here in the bottom of the 9th, with New York leading 13-2, he'll be facing Jim Sundberg, Keith Moreland, and Sean Dunston. Ooh, baby, that hit Sundberg right on the noggin. And the fans are booing, but there's obviously no intention, rhyme, or reason for Sis to be throwing at Sundberg.
Well, thank God for the helmets. Before the advent of the helmet in 1952, It could have been a serious injury. Sundberg unable to get out of the way of the inside fastball. And fortunately not even rubbing. No injury at all.
Well, you're right, Ralph. That's scary. Think about that without a helmet. Moreland swinging at the first pitch, fouls it back for strike one. Keith is 0 for 3. He's grounded into a double play and struck out. Batting here with Sundberg at first and nobody out. And he grounds one to third, and it could be two. Johnson off the glove of Tuffle. Sundberg will go to third. And a very similar play that the Chicago Cubs had happen to them earlier in the game. Going to be an error on Tim Tuffle, and the Cubs have runners at first and third.
All right, here it's an easy double play ball. A good throw by Howard Johnson. Tuffle never got the handle, and he'll be charged with an error. The Mets made 5 errors in yesterday's ball game, one short of their all-time record for a single game. They had made 6 3 previous times, and he was just handcuffed.
So Sundberg at third, Moreland at first. Nobody out, and the batter Sean Dunston, who's 1 for 3 with a home run in the 7th, his 5th of the year. He pounds it right back to Sisk, who holds Sundberg at first. Should have gone to second, but went to first.
Well, the Mets have been playing very sloppy baseball, and even though they're leading, Sisk went to sleep in this play. He's got to throw the ball to second base, keep the runner out of scoring position. It's not that bad a deal, but it's just mechanically wrong. Actually doesn't mean anything in this spot. He gets the sure out. But the mechanics are wrong.
You know, Ralph, he might have been thinking that Moreland already went down to second when the ball was overthrown, and he never bothered to look over there.
Could have been.
Because he never checked Moreland at first base when he did go into the stretch. That's the only explanation I can offer.
Well, here in the 9th inning, it really doesn't mean anything, but it's just the fact that you're not thinking correctly.
The Mets have not been thinking correctly during this series. So here's Dave Martinez. He takes the ball outside. Martinez 0 for 3 has popped to second and flied to the right. He did hit one into left center that Lenny Dykstra tracked down in the 7th. A pretty well hit ball. Ball 2. Ball 3. These kinds of things seem to be happening to Doug Sisk on a pretty regular basis. He's come into this game. He's not given up a hit, and yet he's got 2 runners in scoring position with only 1 out and a 3-0 count on the hitter. Now he's walked the bases full.
That is the first walk given up in this ball game to the Cubs. Dwight Gooden, in working 8 innings, did not walk a batters. He struck out 10. His first 10 strikeout ball game in his second start.
So here's Manny Trio to pinch hit the hero Monday. And it was against Doug Sisk, as you mentioned, Ralph, that Manny Trio broke a 2-2 tie with a 2-out, 2-run home run to left, and the Cubs won it 4-2.
It came on the first pitch, and Trio said he knows I always take the first pitch, but that time he said I hit away. This time he does take the first pitch.
And guess what? After 4 straight balls to Martinez, it's strike 1.
Well, he better take the first pitch, even if he hit it for a home run.
Grounded to third, foul, just outside the bag. Now, why was Sundberg going back to the bag on a ground ball down the third baseline with the bases loaded?
He just wanted to go back to the bag. He's safe over there if he's on the bag.
Not with the force play
I
on.
know it, but that's what he's thinking. He's saying, I'm going to get on that bag. They can't tag me out.
And he's got his back to the play, so he doesn't know whether that ball's fair or foul or not.
No, you're right. He's got to come in because
That's crazy.
Now if the ball's fair, he's forced out at home.
What's going on here?
Can anybody here play this game?
Good heavens. Well, I guess in a 13-2 game, you can get a little lax.
You have a tendency to go to sleep out there.
Yeah, but gee whiz. Bases are loaded here. Sinker sinks too low. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Trio. Bases loaded, 1 out. The Mets have had 2 chances for double plays in this inning and didn't turn them either time. One time they didn't even get an out. Foul back. And a good fastball from Dougie that time. Still 2-2. Sundberg at third. He seems to like it there a lot. Moreland at second and Martinez at first.
Somebody told him once that bag belongs to the lead runner, and he's the lead runner.
Not giving it up. Sharply hit up the middle. Tuffle to second on the first double play. The game's over and the Mets win. Well, Doug Sisk, as usual, made it interesting in the 9th inning, even though the Mets are up by 11 runs. But without giving up a base hit and loading the bases, he finally gets the double play ball to end it on the Mets' 3rd try of the inning. So Dwight Gooden comes back with another strong outing in his 2nd appearance, and the Mets salvage the final game of this series in a big way, beating Chicago 13-2. Dwight Gooden 2-0, goes 8 innings, striking out 10. The loser, Scott Sanderson, is now 3-3. He lasts only 2 1/3 innings. Ralph and I'll be right back to wrap it up here from Wrigley Field in Chicago, where the Mets have won big 13-2 over Chicago, right after this for Bud Light. Steve Zabriskie and Ralph Kiner back with you at Wrigley Field in Chicago, where the Mets have won it big 13-2 behind another strong performance from Dwight Gooden. Dwight striking out 10, going 8 innings to push his season record now to 2-0, and 2 most impressive outings. And even with all the offense, Ralph, that has to be the big story today.
Well, I think the key to the whole thing is the fact that he had 10 strikeouts. He had, again, a great curveball. He had the good fastball to go with it, and he got the big lead. But he pitched hard, went 8 innings, and that's the longest he has gone this year. And he got some big help from the bats. A home run by Carter got it started, and Kevin McReynolds then had a double, and he came in to score on a base hit by Santana, a double actually, and then Gooden drove in the 3rd run as he grounded out, and the Mets got off to a 3-0 lead. They added 5 runs in the 3rd, and then got solo runs in the 4th, another solo run in the 6th, 2 more in the 7th, and 1 more in the 9th inning. 4 home runs for the Mets, 2 by the first baseman, Keith Hernandez, his second 2-home run game in his major league career. His other came against the Mets when he was in the St. Louis Cardinal uniform. Carter got a big day with 4 base hits, so it was really a good hitting performance too.
Well, that's one thing, too, the Mets have been looking for, not only for Dwight to do well, but the offense to produce. And Dwight Gooden's performance has earned him the Budweiser Star of the Game award. The doctor with 10 strikeouts, going 8 full innings, 8 real strong innings, as a matter of fact. Dwight just giving up 2 runs on 8 hits. He did allow a home run in the 7th inning to Sean Dunston. But Dwight Gooden going 2-0, and his strong performance, this Bud's for you. Now the Mets have to continue this road trip. They will go to Tidewater tomorrow night to play the Tidewater Tides. And an interesting side note on that game, and another, I guess, media event for Tidewater, Tom Seaver is supposed to start that game and pitch a few innings.
And another sellout for Tidewater. They're really living off the New York Mets.
But everybody's anxious to see how Tom does, and then the Mets will be on to Pittsburgh for a weekend series, and we'll be back with you Saturday night for that game next here on WOR-TV. So long for Ralph Kiner and Rusty Staub. And New York Mets baseball has been brought to you this afternoon by Bud Light, the light beer with a first name and taste. Everything else is just a light. By manufacturers Hanover, the financial source worldwide. By Nissan, who invite you to test drive a hot new Nissan car or truck and see why Nissan makes you feel like driving. By Burger King, where you get juicy, flame-broiled burgers, the best food for fast times. By the New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages. By the American Express card. Don't leave home without it. By your New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut Lincoln Mercury Merkur dealers. Guests on the program receive a 7 1/4-inch Master Mechanic circular saw, a belt sander, variable speed reversing drill, and a jigsaw, all exclusively from True Value Hardware stores. And an Emerson 19-inch diagonal color television with auto color control system. Be sure to be with us again Saturday night when the Mets take on the Pittsburgh Pirates from Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh live at 7 o'clock Eastern Time right here on Channel 9. The executive producer of Mets Baseball 87 is Rick Miner. Today's game produced and directed by the Spider, Bill Webb. The announcers on the preceding telecast were approved and contracted for by Sterling Doubleday Enterprises, L.P. Mets Baseball 87 is a production of Channel 9 Sports. For Ralph Kiner, Rusty Staub, and our absent partner, Tim McCarver, this is Steve Zabriskie saying so long from Chicago.